Alright. Now that we've started another recording, we can begin the rest of our cat-themed stream. Because today we're also going to be doing... Actually, I probably should turn in these commissions real quick. But today we're also going to be doing the Lynette Hangout event. Because with 4.6 on the horizon, I believe it'll be a good idea to finally get around to doing that. Because we're probably going to have to spend some time with Father soon. I also plan on streaming Genshin again later this week, where we'll probably be doing another world quest that I have skipped over. Now, it's time to do another Hangout event. Because we haven't done a Hangout event in a long time, I think. What was the last one we did? Was it Farazan? Oh no, it was probably Kaya. Because Kaya's was new. Alright. Checks and cats.
Whenever you need me, I'll be there.
Alrighty. A decision. Go to Hotel de Board. I really wanted to do this Hangout event a long time ago, when it got first added. Which would have been about, what, a month ago? Month and a half? 6 weeks? I don't remember. It'll be nice to actually just get to know Lynette a little better. Because we basically got to hang out with Fremine in that event with the what was it, the Thixie? I think it was. And now we got to, and then of course we did Linny's character story. It's only fair that we get to hang out with Lynette. Which is funny because Fremine tends to be the forgotten 4-star in this family. Oh god, more cats. This is definitely a cat stream for sure. Is that Lynette with a little kitty? Meow.
Meow.
Meow. Approach stealthily.
Oh, it's you. 1 second. Now activating chat mode.
God, I forgot how weird you are.
You made me jump there. I thought they'd finally caught me.
They? Who's they?
Objectively speaking, the trouble was entirely of my own making. Half an hour ago, I was at Hotel de Boer for a drinks reception. It was to celebrate the successful opening of a show, but it was draining my energy. So, I waited for the right moment, then snuck away so I could switch to standby mode.
I see. So they sent someone to find you and bring you back, but why?
Probably because I'm playing the lead role in the show.
The lead role?
Is that so surprising? I'm always getting invitations to do solo performances. I just usually get Linny to write back and turn them down. But then came the Fontanalia Film Festival.
Oh. How come you weren't there? I'm surprised we didn't run into either of you during the Fontanalia Film Festival.
We took all the kids from the House of the Hearth out to see a film.
Did we?
And
My
after
memory
it
is
finished,
blanking.
they all started clamoring for me to try out acting for some reason. Even Linny was chanting along with them.
Still annoyed that was Chiori's introduction to the game. In a time-limited event.
Anyway, it just so happened that a director called Mary had sent me an invitation right around then. I'll spare you the details, but basically, I ended up accepting it.
So this is the dramatic debut of the magician's puppet, huh?
Yep, you nailed it. I'm playing the role of a puppet.
Why am I not surprised?
In fact, the show's called The Lost Puppet, and it's a masked mime show. So, I don't have to do any facial expressions or say any lines. Literally just a series of physical movements. The director says it's a very avant-garde art form.
A mime is a terrible thing to waste. Does sound pretty avant-garde, but can people understand the plot?
Art is not comprehended by the mind, but felt in the heart. At least, that's what the director says. Anyway, if nothing else, the opening performance seemed to go down well. At the drinks reception, everyone was crowding around me, saying, "Triumphant character portrayal, faithful adaptation of the original work, unequivocally, quintessentially avant-garde," and stuff like that.
Okay.
But being the center of attention is draining. So the moment they left me to go harass the director instead, I was out of there.
For once, you weren't able to use Lenny as a human
The other
shield.
thing is, some weird things happened while I was on the stage.
What happened? Is that where this little guy comes in?
Oh, sorry, Bonnie. I didn't mean to leave you out of the conversation. My bad.
I take it Bonnie's your pet cat?
No, we just met. We bumped into each other right after I slipped away.
And you've already named her.
Well, it'd be kind of difficult for us to communicate otherwise. Besides, I think she's taken a liking to the name. Haven't you, Bonnie?
She has a voice line where she talks about talking to cats, so this is actually not a surprise to me.
Yeah, that's right. Good kitty. We'll go find your owner soon, I promise. Nope. She's wearing a collar, and for the most part, she's pretty well groomed. If she is a stray, she hasn't been for long.
That sounds more like a lost cat than a stray to me.
Her stomach's been growling a lot. I guess she must have been missing for a few days now. As much as I'd love to hang out with her for a while longer, her owner's probably worried sick about her.
Which means she probably has a name that's not
Assuming
Bonnie.
she has an owner, that is.
Unless we're doing this Paimon shtick again. Although technically this came out first.
Reception. I should probably show my face there again at some point. Even if it's just to make excuses and leave again. Decision time.
Is this a tough decision for you?
Well, I just find it exhausting. Thinking through all the different ramifications of different choices and so on. That's more Lenny's area than mine. So, unless it's something really important, I usually just leave the decision making to him.
How passive of you. But for once, he's not here when you need him. Bet that doesn't happen often.
It's fine. He got Fermine to make me a little something for just this situation.
Oh no. You don't have flashcards, do you?
Poof! A phaetometer.
A what?
It looks pretty over the top, I know. But it's essentially just a box of cards. He kept the design simple, so it'd be harder to break. The way it works is, I pick a card at random, then look at the number on the card.
And how does that help you make a decision?
Well, for example, if the number on the card is 5 or higher, I help Bonnie find her owner. If it's less than 5, I go back to the reception.
Why do I get the feeling that choices are not going to matter as much in this Hangout event? Simple and straightforward.
I just have to believe in the bond between me and my cards, and my fate will reveal itself to me in numerical form. At least, that's what Lenny said. Anyway, I guess I'll give you a demonstration.
Lynette attempts to draw a card. The device emits a horrendous
I didn't
grinding
like
sound.
that. Was I using it wrong? Maybe if I just...
Smacks the card box. All the cards fall to the ground and she picks one at random.
Clearly, there's some design flaws to iron out. I'll have to let Fermine know.
I feel like maybe this wasn't a design issue.
Let's see... Which card did I get? 4.
Less than 5. That means we're no helping Bonnie.
Well, the cards fell on the ground though, so I don't think it counts as fate. If you want to get the right answer, you have to let fate decide. Also something Lenny said. So, to put it another way, if picking a card up off the ground is how to not leave it to fate, then that means it must be the wrong answer.
I think what Lenny really meant was sometimes you have to accept the answer you didn't want.
Or... Why don't you pick a card? Since I ran into you here, that means... our fates are, like, interfering with each other.
Alright, fine. I'll pick a card.
Thank you. This one is final, I promise. Here, take the fatometer. If it's 5 or above, that means fate successfully changed. Anything lower than 5 is a fail.
Why are you giving me the double thumbs up? You're kind of weirding me out.
Also, if you have your own thoughts about what I should do, feel free to share it. Now that I've got a good problem solver here to help, I don't need to run every little thing by fate.
So we have the fatometer now. So we could literally do a random playthrough. Fuck it, let's do it.
Alright. Then let's see where fate will lead me.
Random checks triggered by the fatometer often serve as indicators for destiny's course or success or failure action. Press to draw a card and get a random number between 1 and 20. So you're saying less than 5 is help the cat? Sorry, greater than 5 is help the cat, less than 5 is don't help the cat? I don't remember. Press to draw a card. Okay. Adequate preparation and friendly aid sometimes affect the result of these. Check your current bonuses, that will be added to randomly drawn number, making it also easier to pass checks. Objective 5. I'm not sure. Let's leave this one to fate. That's a 17.
So, we're looking for Bonnie's owner?
I have to ask about this deck of cards.
There's 20 cards in total, numbered 1 to 20. So there's only a 1 in 5 chance of drawing less than a 5. I should also mention, this time the cutoff was 5, but I just set that to wherever I feel like.
Wow, you really don't want to go back to that reception party.
To put it in perspective, I said I'd only do the show if I drew a 1. Fate can be pretty sneaky sometimes.
Jeez. So how do you plan to find Bonnie's owner?
I think I'll go to the Steambird and see about putting an ad in the paper. You want to come along? I think Bonnie wants you to come with.
Sure, if it means I get to hang out with you for a bit longer. Well, that was a decision. And now we're detectives. To the Steambird, which is... which way again? That way. Yeah, it's within walking distance, roughly. Which reminds me, there's another world quest that starts at the Steambird, so hopefully we don't trigger that.
Every stupendous day starts with a Steambird. Oh, hi Lynette. Hi Traveler. What can I help you with?
I wanted to ask about the latest Tales of Humanity column. Any commissions in there about a missing cat?
I don't think so. Have you picked up a stray?
Yep. If there's no commission to follow up on, could we post a notice about the missing cat instead?
Why, of course. What a kind thing to do. Just fill out the form.
Meow. We have a cat now.
Well, we've registered you as missing. You can stay at my place until your owner finds you. Also, I just wanted to say thanks for keeping us company for so long.
Alright.
Well, I should probably head back to the drinks reception. Hopefully most of the people have left by now. If you've got some time, you should stop by my place tomorrow to see Bonnie. There's a nice cup of tea in it for you.
Looking forward to it.
See you then.
Alright. Paimon clock time. I still think it's really weird whenever we do these Hangout events, because there's no Paimon in these Hangout events. Uh-oh. I think the game's about to crash. Oh, no, there it goes. Now time is moving. Toki wo tomore.
I believe this cat belongs to me.
Uh-huh. Director of the Humane Society.
I already told you, this isn't your cat.
Just take a breather, you two.
What's going on?
You're here. As you can probably see, you'll have to take a rain check on that tea I promised you. At least for now.
This is my friend's cat. He's preoccupied with some important business, so I came to retrieve her in his stead.
Passive checks are a special type of check that need not be actively triggered, but instead will automatically trigger at specific times. If you pass, you will find some hidden information, such as irregularities in a person's attitude or certain incongruous details. This lady's expression seems to be a bit... what? The way she speaks is loud and authoritative. It's like she's deliberately using her tone of voice to dispel any doubts about her integrity.
No. It's far more likely this cat escaped from the Humane Society.
That doesn't sound... you don't sound too sure of that. The hesitation in his voice, it seems like he could be hiding something. His gaze keeps drifting out to the side like he's trying to draw attention to himself. How about we let Bonnie decide?
Bonnie?
That's the name I've given her in the meantime.
Animal handling. Let's see who Bonnie... Oh my god, this is a D&D check. That's why it's a 1 to 20. The fateometer is just a D20. I can't believe I didn't make that connection. That's an 8. Bonnie happily runs up to you and begins to weave through your legs.
This complicates things.
Seems she quite likes me.
I told you before. This is my friend's cat. It's normal for her not to trust me.
Listen, I'm the director of the Humane Society, okay? We've got so many strays, dogs, cats, you name it. I'm not even the one feeding them most of the time. You can hardly expect the cat to recognize me.
How are you sure that she belongs to you?
She just looked somewhat familiar, so I came to check, just in case. If she turns out to be one of ours, I'll take her back. Simple as that. Even if that's not the case, the Humane Society could still take her in, if no one else comes to claim her, that is.
What's the Humane Society? I mean, we have one of those in real life. They're the people who run a lot of shelters in America. I don't know how widespread they are. They're definitely here in California, though.
We're an organization that specializes in rescuing and sheltering stray animals. We've been in business for several decades now. I'm Bernard, the current director.
The Humane Society. Huh. The name sounds familiar. I remember hearing good things. You're the one in the Quartier Lyonnais?
Yes, that's the one. Anyway, if it's not too much trouble, could I possibly take a closer look at the cat? If it turns out I really am mistaken, I suppose that means the cat belongs to this lady here. She would be the only remaining option after all.
It belongs to my friend.
With us here to keep watch, should be
Go
fine.
on, Bonnie.
Oh, nope. Looks like I was mistaken. They do look similar, but there's an ever so slight difference in this one's fur color. Deepest apologies, friends.
Well, I'm glad he didn't have an ulterior motive.
Well, I suppose this means I still have a missing cat to search for. Apologies again for the confusion.
So this is your friend's cat?
Oh, yes, exactly.
Wait a second. You lied earlier, didn't you?
Lied? I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
A liar always has a tell. The look in their eyes, their breathing pattern, the way they hold themselves. The things that can give you away are often more numerous than you would think.
What are you talking about? The way I see it, you're conflating baseless conjecture with fact.
Normally, when someone is called out, their breathing speeds up as they begin to panic. But your breathing pattern hasn't changed one bit. In fact, it's been strangely calm and measured this entire time. It stands to reason, then, that your agitated behavior earlier was all an act. If you're a bad guy, I'm sure you'll take off running the first chance you get. If you're a good guy, the most likely explanation is that you're a member of the Guards, or some similar organization.
And you're basing this off of?
Intuition. Nothing more.
That's more experience than intuition, but sure.
Intuition. Well, I have to hand it to you, Lynette. You're right. I'm a member of the Guards. The name's Elodie. I'm currently investigating a cross-border smuggling case. This cat here, Bonnie was her name? Well, her owner is one of the prime suspects of our investigation.
Really?
A couple of days ago, our suspect got wind that we were on his tail and fled. That's most likely how he got separated from the cat.
Meaning Bernard might actually be the cat's owner. And he figured out you were a guard and just fled.
I just so happened to stumble upon your notice in the Steambird. So, I decided to see if he'd come back for her. But it looks like I overestimated him.
If I were on the run, I don't think I'd come back either.
The impact of this case has been huge. The Marechaussee Phantom, the Guards, and the Special Patrol have all launched investigations. If there was even the slightest chance that he would show himself, I had to follow up on the lead.
So what's being smuggled?
A new kind of illegal drug. Imitation synth.
Imitation synth. Is it imitating the drug's effects? Does it have the same downsides? Because if it's healthier, then I don't really care.
We confiscated all the synth on the market, but addiction isn't something that goes away overnight. Even without substances on the market, people are still looking for a way to get their next fix.
Okay.
And criminals are all too eager to capitalize on that addiction. That was the impetus for imitation synth. Needless to say, a small-scale market opened up very quickly.
A small-scale market?
After the original synth debacle, we put several measures into place to prevent similar incidents from occurring. The perpetrators got smart, though, and shifted their sales overseas before those measures could kick in. That's when the imitation synth smuggling began.
How would you even go about creating real synth right now anyway, with no access to the Primordial Sea? Because I assume that now that Nouvelette's calmed it, it's probably no longer easily accessible.
We only recently got word of the presence of imitation synth overseas. We managed to track down evidence of some early transactions. What we were able to find out, however, hasn't proven that useful given the amount of time that has passed. The Marechaussee Phantom launched an investigation to track down every person in Fontaine capable of producing a drug like that. That's how we learned about Bonnie's owner.
Who is he exactly?
He's a researcher at the Fontaine Research Institute. His name is Pierre. Pierre Lafayette, to be exact.
Lefebvre.
Lefebvre? Seems a bit unnatural. Insight check. Slight look of dread just crossed Lynette's face. Strange, she usually schools her expressions with mechanical
The
precision.
Marechaussee Phantom found him in Poisson. In addition to the cat, he also had a pendant with him.
It's a caduceus serpent. And a ruler.
At first, there wasn't much cause for suspicion. A search of his house didn't reveal much to go off of either. The Marechaussee Phantom very nearly left it at that. It was only later that we realized the coat of arms on his pendant belonged to none other than the Lefebvre family, one of the most infamous aristocratic families in Fontaine.
Now, if you remember what we learned in the Archon quest about Lynette's backstory, how do we put this in a tone that's... Actually, we're more than far enough into a video that the YouTube checkers aren't going to look for this. It seems like she was a street urchin adopted and then used as like a... What do they call that? A sex toy? Sex slave? Long story short, she was... taken advantage of. And it was only through the House of the Heart that she got rescued from that fate. Which is horrible to think about. The Fontaine story is really dark.
Obviously, this discovery prompted a further investigation into Pierre. At that point, however, we discovered that he'd already fled. Now the guards and the special patrol are all searching for him.
Could his family be hiding him? So if that's why Lynette's expression is a little bit unnerved, I can totally understand why.
That's not possible, actually. The Lefebvre family has been gone for a long time.
I guess I should also mention this. I don't know when I'm going to get around to uploading this video for this live stream, but apparently there's going to be like a music video or something about Arlecchino that's coming out. I believe it was Arlecchino that liberated her from that situation with the House of Hearth, but there's some. We're going to get some of Arlecchino's backstory coming up soon in a new animated short. So I'm looking forward to when that comes out. We'll be doing a reaction to that when it comes out. So look forward to that on the channel. Or if it's already out, go ahead and watch that. Because this live stream probably might not be getting uploaded to the YouTube channel for at least 3 to 4 days.
Exactly. Many years ago, several important members of the family, including the patriarch, were murdered by an assassin of unknown origin. From
Yeah.
that point on, family's power and influence took quite the hit. The family is engaged in all manner of crimes. As you can imagine, there's no shortage of people waiting in the wings to take their revenge. And with the family severely weakened, they were able to do just that. Most of the remaining family members succumbed to sickness or hunger. The ones that survived are currently living out their days under a new identity. Pierre is one of those very survivors. He's been hiding away in the Fontaine Research Institute all these years. His true identity unbeknownst to all. Until now, that is.
Is it really okay to share all this information with us?
My fellow guards have told me all about how smart and courageous you both are. And I know you possess a strong sense of justice.
Yeah, I feel like I'm standing next to the unknown assassin, though, is my issue.
There could be a chance that Pierre, or one of his accomplices, might attempt to get close to Bonnie. Now that you've been briefed on the situation, I was hoping you'd help us keep a lookout. If I take Bonnie back to the guards with me, there's no way Pierre will try and come for her. Not even the most daring of criminals would attempt something like that.
I don't know. I can think of a few people that are daring enough. Should we keep Bonnie with us for the time
I
being?
have to admit, I'm not holding out too much hope that Pierre will come back for her. But if there's even the slightest chance, then it's worth a shot.
Well, Lynette, you want to do this?
Well, I've got some other leads to follow up on. If Pierre does appear, please contact me right away.
All right, Lynette, time to fess up. You don't look so good.
Nothing. I'm fine. It's just... the head of the Lefebvre family. He was the eminent person who kidnapped me all those years ago.
Yeah, I'm aware. I was able to put 2 and 2 together.
It was at a dinner party. Someone tricked me into boarding the Lefebvre family carriage. Whoever it was, they took me back to their home. But before anything worse could happen, Father intervened.
And the assassin Elodie mentioned.
Father was the one who orchestrated the fall of the Lefebvre family. That's what led Lenny and I to join the House of the Hearth.
Yep. All right, everything I had just finished talking about has been confirmed. I am Sparked. SMRT.
After all these years, I never thought I'd hear the Lefebvre name again.
You okay? Oh yeah, Bonnie's still here.
Don't worry about me. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself. I was just thinking about Lenny.
Oh yeah, Lenny probably is also traumatized by this because of being separated from you and probably fearing for the worst.
He's been acting strange recently. He avoids me for days on end, consumes himself with some secret investigation, and then out of the blue pushes me to do that acting job. Thinking about it now, it's almost like the one I drew from that deck of cards was part of his plan all along. He must have asked Fermanet to help him out. In any case, I know he's hiding something from me. He's really pulled out all the stops this time.
You think he knows about Pierre?
It's very possible. I'm sure he tried to send me away because he was afraid it would bring up some painful memories for me. It wasn't necessary, though. Even after all these years, he's still as overprotective as ever. You'll have to help me teach him a lesson if we run into him along the way.
Along the way, are we going somewhere?
Yep. I want to head to the Fontaine Research Institute to learn more information about Pierre. Just let me activate search mode and then we'll head out. Who knows? Maybe we'll run into Linny along the way.
Trying to help out Lenny with his investigation, or are you trying to prove yourself?
A little bit of both, perhaps. For the most part, though, I just have the sense that something's not right. Something isn't adding up about Pierre's story. I'm just not sure what.
I also want to know what secrets he's hiding. Sometimes you just gotta take the bull by the horns, right?
Okay, I'll write a letter explaining everything to the crew. Once that's done, we can head out.
Alright. Detectives is still the name of this chapter. Okay. To the Fontaine Research Institute. That's pretty far from here, actually. Very far. Sorry, the new Fontaine Research Institute. We're an honorary I forget our freaking ridiculous title. God, Traveler collects so many damn titles. We still have 2 more regions to explore. I got Natlin coming up in, like, August. Oh. Well, I think we caught up to them.
Lynette, you're, not at rehearsal?
You can drop the act, brother. In fact, I don't think either of us will have a need for acting anytime soon. You should know better than to try and keep something from me. You've never been able to do that, even when we were kids.
And that's why I tried to distract you with the masked mime show. But I guess you're just too good.
Or fate got involved.
Care to introduce us to your new assistant?
Hi, Chevrus.
This is Officer Shavras, captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol. You may have met her already.
Nice to see you. I should clarify something. Mr. Lenny's here at my invitation, not the other way around. To borrow your expression, Miss Lynette, I suppose that would make him my assistant more than anything. We've brought on Mr. Lenny as a consultant in the past. He was instrumental in helping us crack a case involving a perpetrator who used magic tricks to commit crimes. I was hoping he'd be able to provide some valuable insight this time around as well.
Are you here because of the Lefevre case?
So you've heard everything then?
That's exactly why we're here. There's always been questions surrounding the fall of the Lefevre family. Some people even believe the House of the Hearth was involved.
Oh, yeah, I wonder who gave you that impression.
Whoever was behind it all was extremely cautious. They didn't leave a shred of evidence. This very fact, however, leads me to believe it was indeed the work of that Harbinger. I took a look at the entrance and exit records of all the carriages that night. Let's just say it wasn't hard to deduce that there's ill will between you two. Don't worry, I don't have any evidence to that effect, and I certainly don't plan on going to bat for such a despicable family. Plus, you were victims back then more than anything. I sought Mr. Lenny's help with the smuggling case. Nothing more.
So you're really teaming up with the House of the Hearth?
The way I look at it, it's a collaboration between us as people, not the organizations we represent. Besides, by working together, we can expose the truth as quickly as possible. You can hardly say that's at odds with the justice my organization strives for.
I'm assuming you wouldn't be opposed to some extra help.
Not at all. I was planning to invite you from the very beginning, Miss Lynette. It's just that my assistant here raised some objections.
Linny, I'm not the same person I was back then.
I hope not.
That little girl who did nothing but cower in the corner in fear, she doesn't need saving anymore.
I know you want to protect your little sister, but sisters don't stay little forever.
I'm sorry, Lynette. You're right. I let my concerns get the better of me.
Oh, and the next time you want to distract me, You should try a different approach.
Meow.
Who's this? You pick up a stray while I was gone?
It's a bit complicated. I'll explain later. Anyway, her name's Bonnie.
For now. I'm gonna be really annoyed if it turns out her name actually was Bonnie the whole time, though.
Well, if there are no objections, then I suppose the only thing left to say is... Lynette, Traveler, welcome to the team.
Happy to be working with you again, Chevros. Alright.
It appears the Lefebvre family was very particular in their use of insignias and emblems. The family would use different emblems to mark differences in status, blood relation, and the like. In fact, the insignia that was discovered on the pendant was used to represent an illegitimate child.
That would mean Pierre is a bastard child.
It's highly likely. That very status might have been what allowed him to emerge from the fall of his family relatively unscathed. It would also explain why he was able to assume a new identity as a researcher with relative ease.
We discovered something interesting, though. After talking to some of his co-workers, it appears he pretty much works at the Institute in name only. He's practically been cast out.
Wait, what happened?
Apparently, Pierre was once addicted to synth. He tried to use the resources at the Institute to create a substance with a similar effect. He claimed it was just for research purposes, but the Institute revoked his access to the relevant materials regardless. He was placed on disciplinary leave, pending a thorough investigation of his actions.
Cool, what did the investigation find, though?
But it seems the Institute ran into some trouble along the way.
Ah, of course.
Could have been a lack of personnel or a timing issue. In any case, they had to table their formal investigation into Pierre. Unfortunately, that also included reporting any relevant information to the higher authorities.
Oof.
As for his family background, it appears none of his co-workers at the Institute were aware of that information. All they could tell us was that he was quite the recluse.
We may have to take our investigation elsewhere, then.
Other than the pendant, we didn't find anything else of note at his residence in Poisson. Based on the samples of imitation synth we've been able to analyze, it appears the substance leaves behind strong traces wherever it's produced or stored. Those traces might not be obvious to the casual observer, but they're not something our guard poodles would miss. Pierre's home, though, came up completely clean.
Interesting. What about elemental sight? Can we use that? That's a feature in this game that I kind of forget we have sometimes.
We didn't find any records indicating possible involvement in overseas transactions either. So, the Marechaussee Phantom didn't view him as a major suspect at first.
Maybe he had a separate, dedicated area where he made the imitation synth.
Well, his neighbors did say he was often gone for long stretches of time. You would think with him out and about so much, people would have spotted him around Poisson, but residents said they barely ever saw him in town. If his reclusive nature was just a matter of keeping a low profile, I guess it would make sense for him to have a secret base to carry out his business.
How much you want to bet the cat knows where it is?
After he disappeared, the guards conducted a thorough search of Poisson, but they didn't come across any suspicious locations.
I'm having trouble getting comfortable in my chair.
Poisson.
What is it, Lynette?
You know Hotel de Boer, where I first found Bonnie? To get there from Poisson, you have to cross a stretch of ocean. It's not somewhere a cat could just wander off on its own.
A cat? You mean...
Bonnie is Pierre's cat.
Oh, that's right! When the Marechaussee Phantom first tracked him down, I remember there being something about a cat in their report. So this is her?
From what we've learned about Pierre's habits, he doesn't seem like the type to venture out without a purpose. So what you're saying, Lynette, is that Bonnie couldn't have gone missing in Poisson. If that's true, then...
She must have wandered off only after Pierre brought her to his secret base.
Exactly. Bonnie might even know where it is.
Wait, you think the cat can lead us there? But she's not trained like one of our guard poodles. How is she supposed to understand what we want her to do?
You just talk to cats. Animal handling. I can give it a go. Meow, meow, meow. 12. This one. That's a 6. Check failed. Startled, Bonnie rushes to hide behind Lynette.
Guess she's a little skittish around strangers.
I'll leave it to you then.
Meow. Meow meow. Meow?
Bonnie seems to understand what you want her to do.
Near the coast, the beach, and beneath the cliffs. The place we're looking for is most likely north of the Court of Fontaine.
Well, I've certainly never taken a witness statement like this before.
Welcome to the club, Chevrus. We talk to animals here. Some better than others.
Well, if it works out, maybe it's something worth getting used to.
Cats and humans are actually pretty alike. When it comes to communication, most of what we want to convey can be accomplished through body language alone.
Which is how most animals
But
communicate.
humans tend to rely too much on speech to ever take advantage of that fact.
Look at how stocky I can make myself feel. I can take up so much of the frame.
Of course, body language has its limitations. You're not going to be able to get
That
across
hurt my shoulders to
anything
do, by the
too
way.
complicated.
The important thing is that we now have a lead. Let's try and find a place that matches the clues Bonnie gave us.
Ugh, I'm still sore from working out yesterday. Alright, go and check the suspicious location. We just got here, too. The way this is playing out, it's playing out almost more like it's a character quest than a hangout event. Based off of what the choices we got at the start of this, I wonder if there are actually a bunch of different routes.
Seems like Bonnie is trying to take us somewhere.
I still think Bernard might have been the guy we're looking for.
Gardamex ahead.
Look out!
Alright, bubble pop, please. 12k. I love the clam set. Clam set Noel. What a fun build.
Nowhere to hide.
Go near the base. So where'd the cat go? Oh, over here. Wow, the base is literally just a tent, huh?
Wow, Lynette, you found this place so easily. If I thought there was any chance you'd say yes, I'd recruit you into the special patrol here and now. No questions asked.
Sounds familiar. I pretty much receive letters daily from people trying to poach her from me.
Let's just focus on our search. There's a lot to investigate.
Alright, wonder what we'll find here.
The material these bags are made of, it's quite rare.
Doesn't look similar to the for use your magic pockets?
It's the very same, actually. Romaritime flower fiber. But there's something special about the composition of these bags. I took a closer look, and it appears they're not only waterproof, but also corrosion and leak resistant.
Hard to believe for a bag with stitching in it.
Even the strings look specially designed to keep the bags closed nice and tight. I came across some bags made of the same material just now, but they were much smaller and thinner. From the look of them, they seemed far less durable as well.
So kind of like one of those small sealed bags.
Very similar, actually. Normally, it would be easy for a guard poodle to sniff out the imitation synth, but if it was sealed away in a bag like that, it might be possible to elude detection for some time.
Unless you spilled something.
But
or
what could
opened
these
it.
big bags be for then? If the goal is to keep the imitation synth hidden and sealed away, these bags seem a bit too conspicuous.
Strange.
Aha! Just as we thought. This is where the imitation synth was being made.
Cool. These bottles and jars, they're all imitation synth?
Looks like he's got more than just imitation synth stashed around here. in addition to the raw materials needed to synthesize the substance itself. There's a large quantity of cleaning agents and a few drugs I haven't been able to identify.
Man, where's Dr. Baiju when you need him?
These cleaning agents are likely used to dispel traces of the substance, like its smell.
Ah, that answers Linny's question.
The Special Patrol did some digging into imitation synth. Our records indicate that it's very difficult for ordinary people to detect traces left behind by the stuff. I'm sure that was the case for Pierre as well. It must have taken a considerable amount of time and skill to ensure all those traces get washed away. But what are these other drugs for?
Barrel.
When the Marechaussee Phantom searched Pierre's house, there was no sign of these barrels, right?
He must have moved them, but carrying them all the way out here would attract way too much attention.
You're right. That doesn't seem like his way of doing things. How did he get them here then?
The barrels show signs of water damage. Dried up water stains can be seen around the So he drifted them here? Seems to be the pattern of the location where the water stains. For some reason, they appear to have limited the lower half of the barrels. The lids don't seem very tight, leaving sizable gaps around the edges. But there doesn't appear to be any traces of water inside the barrels.
Only the lower halves of the barrels appear to have been submerged in water.
Alright.
Based on the various ingredients we've found, this appears to be where Pierre was cooking up his imitation synth. It looks like he used a special cleaning agent to get rid of any residual traces of the substance on his person before he left. That's how he was able to get past the guard poodles.
So why is the Marechaussee Phantom didn't find anything in his home?
So then he transferred the imitation synth into small sealed bags and took it somewhere else for the drop-off.
No. I don't believe our suspect is the kind of person who'd go around carrying incriminating evidence with him. That would potentially create too many eyewitnesses. The cleaning agent and the sealed bags might get past the guard poodles. But if a member of the public or even a guard on patrol happened to see him during the drop-off, a quick search would reveal everything. That's still a very risky operation.
What about if the drop-off happened at sea? There'd be no one else around to see him.
The barrels we found were wet around the base, but the top half was dry. As if they'd been standing upright in the water.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Just like that.
If you put a barrel in the water, it will normally float on its side. Unless it's heavily loaded, in which case it'll sink.
So you must use something to tightly seal big bags full of air, turning them into airtight flotation devices.
Yes. With flotation rings around the body of the barrels, they'd stay upright in the water. And then he could afford to load them more fully.
Yeah, basically having a preserver ring around it.
You think he used floating barrels? I suppose if he acted at night, when there are very few other boats around and visibility is low, it's a valid theory. We can't rule it out.
But then, wouldn't the barrels be carried off by the waves or the currents? How would the person doing the pickup know where to look?
Sounds difficult to keep in one place, kind of like certain pets.
Traveler, can you come take a dip in the sea with me? I have a feeling that somewhere down there, we might find some rope. If a rope can be used to keep a pet from running away, then why not a barrel?
I don't know why we're looking for rope. That just sounds like you got the answer already.
I can't believe how much progress we're making with this investigation. Without your help, getting this far would have taken me an awful lot of time and manpower.
Alright, Lenny, how you holding up?
It's rare to see Lynette in serious mode. I wonder how long she'll keep it activated for.
That is a good question. To the sea! Oh, look, a boat.
The wreckage of a small boat? This isn't the place.
Aha, there's one.
This isn't the place.
What am I missing? Oh. Perception check.
Got it. Time to go up and report.
So you just tied a rope to a rock. Our theory works without it. It's just now we have proof.
As expected, we found a few pieces of rope and some anchoring stones underwater. If you attach them to a floating barrel, it would look like this.
Pretty much.
With this anchoring system, it would be possible to use floating barrels for the drop-off. You would just need to drop them in the water at the agreed-upon location. We also came across the wreckage of a small boat. It must have been left out on the water and capsized due to the force of the wind and waves. Its small size, however, would have made it perfect for staying undetected.
It was basically a rowboat.
Let's talk this through. Based on the evidence we've collected, it seems like Pierre would row a small boat out to the agreed-upon transfer point, drop off the barrels, leave, and then row back and retrieve them after the transfer was complete.
Although if he's dropping them off like literally like 30 yards from here, it's not really much of a drop-off. They're practically just coming and picking them up in person. Why such a convoluted drop-off method, though? Wouldn't it be easier for parties just to meet up at transfer point, respective vessels, and exchange goods right then and there?
It could be that he was trying to avoid meeting up with his associate face-to-face. As one of the sole survivors of the Lefebvre family, maybe he was just used to that sort of elusive lifestyle.
Makes sense. That's a good point, Lenny.
It seems like Pierre deliberately chose the floating barrel method so that the goods could be dropped off and picked up at separate times. That way, the two parties wouldn't have to meet each other.
Well, if that's the case, they must not have a very close working relationship.
Let's not jump to any conclusions just yet. Assumptions can be detrimental to solving a case. It's possible they were just trying to keep a low profile. Two boats sailing to the same location at once could be too conspicuous. The most important thing is that we can now confirm Pierre wasn't acting alone. The floating barrel drop-off system is proof enough of that. Let's say for now that he was only in charge of producing the imitation synth. That would mean there has to be at least one other person involved in the operation, likely in charge of transporting the goods across the border.
I think it's Bernard. I'm still suspicious of Bernard.
Since we've determined that the goods were transported by boat, maybe we can track down some travel logs or something.
We can certainly check the various ports for that information. It's possible, however, that Pierre's associate also used a small boat for the transport, and docked along the shore rather than at a large port. If that's the case, it's unlikely there would be any record left behind.
Have you looked into the ports already?
Absolutely. Before Pierre disappeared, we made sure to investigate all sorts of outward-bound vessels. We also had port authorities keep a lookout for anything suspicious. Unfortunately, we were never able to find out how they managed to get the imitation synth across the border.
Small boat and a few barrels isn't going to get you very far.
You're right. Whatever vessel was used for the pickup, the person responsible for smuggling the substance out of Fontaine would have had to use a larger vessel for the actual transport. That's the only way they would be able to smuggle on a large enough scale to make a profit. They must have found a way to disguise the imitation synth to clear port inspections.
Well, even if we can't find the travel logs, we can still search for other clues.
Exactly. We can't let any opportunity slip through the cracks. Although, given the amount of ports that could be involved, we should probably split up.
I'll run home and ask some of my brothers and sisters to try and dig up some information.
I should also head back and update my platoon on our progress. I'll grab some reinforcements while I'm at it. Lynette, Traveler, why don't you head to Lumiduce Harbor and see what you can find out?
Lumiduce
All right.
Harbor?
Come on, Bonnie. You too.
Meow! To think, all we planned on doing today was hanging out with cats. Lumiduce Harbor. That's so far away. We've gone to like almost every region in this one character quest. Every region of Fontaine. Minus like the one that's going to be coming out in the next patch. Which looks to be the area just south of here, actually. From what I saw in the trailers.
Oh, Lynette, Traveler.
Oh, it's you!
And Bonnie, too. What brings you all here?
Did something happen?
We're here to check out travel logs. Update them on the situation.
Oh. I see. Thank you for everything you're doing for the people of Fontaine.
So what are you doing here?
I'm in charge of guarding the port. You mentioned you were after some travel logs, right? I can go fetch those for you.
Looks like I've got another hard day of work ahead of me.
Have we met yet? Who are you? Are things usually this hectic?
No, not usually. It's this incident that happened recently. Before that, everything was normal. All we had to do was confiscate anything suspicious and we could call it a day. Pretty simple stuff. But things are much more complicated now. We somehow let suspicious cargo pass through the port undetected. Not even our guard poodles were able to sniff it out. Even worse, we still don't know how the perpetrator was able to conceal the goods so well.
By suspicious cargo, do you mean imitation synth?
Yep. However, prohibited substances are just one example. We confiscate all sorts of contraband during the course of our inspections. Or at least, we're supposed to.
So what happens to the goods you confiscate?
Oh, we keep them in a storage locker. If they turn out to be something particularly dubious, we'll turn them over to the Maison Orderly. If the goods are only slightly suspicious but could otherwise be harmless, like raw materials that could potentially be used to create contraband, we return them to the ship they were confiscated from, instead of letting them pass through the port.
Sorry for the wait. These are the travel logs for all the recent activity at the port.
Alright. Guard Poodle.
Oh, you brought Gerard with you.
Actually, he followed me here himself. It's like he smells something on me.
Hi, Bonnie.
Huh. I wonder why Gerard is reacting to you two so strongly.
Could it be because we just left the place where the imitation synth was made?
Huh? We were so careful not to touch it, but we still ended up with traces on us. If it leaves a residue so easily, I just don't understand how the culprit was able to disguise the goods at all.
Why don't you have a look at the travel logs first? All ships coming in and out of the port are recorded here, except for the ones the port authorities ride to and from work.
That seems like a really weird exception. Are we not checking police cars to see if they're not smuggling drugs in police cars? Humane Society is listed. The name really seems to stand out.
The Humane
Bernard! We've encountered that organization before, right?
Their name is all over the exit logs. The purpose for leaving is always listed as overseas adoption.
Ah, the director of the organization explained that actually. He said a lot of the cat and dog breeds unique to Fontaine are also very popular overseas. So, his organization offers an overseas adoption program.
Bernard, the director of the Humane Society, was the man who came looking for Bonnie earlier.
That cat fled from Pierre. It looks like that cat... Looks like the cat the Humane Society is looking for. Could that really be a coincidence? It seemed that Bernard was also hiding something. He seemed so insistent, but only ran a cursory check before leaving like that. When he came looking for Bonnie earlier, what if he actually wasn't there to check if Bonnie was a missing cat, but maybe that for some other purpose?
Have you figured it out too, Traveler? The way the criminal disguised the goods? When Bernard asked to take a closer look at Bonnie, he was actually checking whether there was any imitation synth in her stomach.
Using the animals at his shelter to smuggle imitation synth?
Wait, what?
The sealed bags we found at the secret base. They were specially made to be corrosion resistant.
So that they wouldn't be digested.
There were gaps around the lids of the barrels, and airbags were used to keep them upright in the water.
So the animals would be able to breathe.
Those drug shivers found at the secret base. She most likely didn't recognize them because they're not used on human beings. It's an anesthetic used on pets. The perpetrator must have given it to the animals.
So that they would keep still while floating in the barrels.
Pierre must have made the animals swallow the sealed bags full of imitation synth at his secret base. Then he stuffed them into floating barrels and left the rest to Bernard.
The sealed bags combined with an animal's body odor would certainly be enough to mask the scent of imitation synth.
During our inspections, we would have never thought to inspect the bellies of those animals for anything suspicious.
How
Even
would
if
you?
we tried to feel around for something, I'm sure it would be difficult to detect.
If, like, would you need, like, an x-ray and see, like, there's a balloon in their stomach?
Exactly. I bet Bernard even transported animals with synth in their stomach alongside ones without. That way, it would be even harder to say with certainty that something was amiss.
You think Bonnie could have imitation synth in her stomach?
She's probably in the clear. Otherwise, Bernard would have never left without her. I'm guessing he didn't know whether Pierre had already hidden the next batch of imitation synth before he fled. Just imagine. He sees the notice we put in the Steambird, and it turns out that one of the very cats he gave to Pierre for the smuggling operation is out in the open, roaming the streets of Fontaine. If Pierre had already hidden the next batch of imitation synth, then Bonnie would practically be living proof of their crimes. He would have had no choice but to go after her.
So, that's why he came to find you and insisted on taking a closer look at the cat.
Pierre must have fled in a hurry. That's probably what spared Bonnie.
Wait a second, I'm a little lost here. I get the part about hiding the substance in the pets, but those, what did you call them again? Floating barrels? Why even put the animals in there in the first place?
I still don't understand that part myself. It feels really stupid. If we're literally going to do the dead drop like 20 yards from where the fucking stuff was being made.
If you've got something as convenient as a floating barrel, why not just stuff it with the imitation synth directly? Why not wait to hide the stuff until after the exchange has been made?
In order to make sure the animals could swallow the sealed bags, they made them extremely thin. Had they not done that, the animals would have likely bitten or chewed through them.
And if any of the imitation synth leaked out, they also would have had to need a lot of cleaning agents to get rid of the resulting smell.
That step would have required a lot of energy, as well as a certain amount of technical expertise. So, it was better left to the more experienced Pierre. We've already proven how easy it is to pick up trace amounts of imitation synth, so I'm sure Bernard was taking all the precautions he could to avoid the same fate.
So they used the barrel method just so they would never touch the cats? This feels like really unscrupulous, and like a lot of things need to go right for a scheme like this to work.
Okay, then let's head to the Humane Society right away and bring that guy to justice. I'll bring a Gardamek to speed up the process.
Sorry, but I can't go with you. Surely you'll be able to handle him, what, between Elodie's Gardamek and all three of you?
Yeah, you got a point there. Now, excuse me. I'm gonna go grab something I saw in the background over there.
Incoming!
There we go. Got it. Now I gotta go all the way back over here to the Humane Society and go arrest a cat dealer. Boy, has today been a weird day.
The headquarters of the Humane Society should be somewhere around here. Bernard could show up any moment now.
Ah, you're the people from earlier. Wait, you're from the guards?
After him! We can't let him get away!
Oh, we're playing as Lynette now. Run!
Give it up, Bernard.
Mercy, have mercy. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything I know.
The Humane Society has done so much good over the years, and yet you have committed such an atrocious deed in its name.
Look, I didn't have a choice, okay? My father cared about those blasted animals so much, he didn't bother to take care of his human wife and son at all. While those animals were showered with love, I lived worse than a dog.
No one asked. Tell me, how did you first get to know Pierre?
Well, after I took over the Humane Society, it gradually became harder and harder to maintain its operations. Until one day, someone suddenly passed me a letter. It said that I could stand to get a large sum of money as long as I helped them to transport some animals abroad. It was only after a few such transports that I finally understood what I was really transporting. But then, Pierre wrote to me, saying that we were already partners in crime and that I better keep cooperating with him if I didn't want to be reported to the guards.
Insight check successful. There was a hint of dishonesty. He's lying.
You knew it from the very beginning, didn't you? The reason why you had to go through so many steps just to transport some animals.
I'd suggest that you confess everything right now if you don't want to add anything else to your list of crimes.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Yes, officer. I would order wooden barrels and flotation devices according to his instructions, and then load the sleeping animals onto a boat. Once I sailed to the location he provided, I would dump everything together into the sea. And a few days after that, I'd come by again in my boat and pick up the animals sleeping in the barrels. Once I had received enough of them, I'd bring them to the harbor to be adopted abroad. That guy, Pierre, he was running the entire show. He set up all the meeting times and found all the foreign adopters. Oh, and he even supplied all of the goods, too. I just did the transport. He was the one who planned out and executed everything else.
So where is he now?
Look, I don't know, okay? I've never, ever met him in person. We've only ever communicated through letters.
And when did he send his final letter to you?
Just last night, he said that the Marechaussee Phantom is now after him, so he's planning to go into hiding for some time. He didn't mention where he's thinking about going, though, but he did tell me to look out for the guards.
It's been a few days since Pierre's last appearance. I'd wager that he sent that letter after he found his hiding spot.
So where's that letter now?
I burned them. It was on his orders. I had to burn every letter after reading them. I wasn't even allowed to share them with the rest of the society employees.
Sure sounds like you're trying to use the lack of witnesses or evidence to pin the blame on Pierre.
No, I swear, this time I'm only telling you the truth.
I honestly believe him. This Pierre guy seems like one of the most careful men I've ever met.
Well,
Sorry, ever
we can
not
check the
met.
truth of your statement at the Opera House. I hope you know what'll be coming for you if I were to find any discrepancy between the evidence and the testimony you just gave.
I know, I swear I was just telling the truth.
I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is probably a certain amount of time in Maripede. I don't imagine how long the sentence for transporting illegal goods is. You should be more concerned about getting arrested in another country and put to death for it.
Had it not been for you, I really don't know what would have happened to this case.
Pierre still seems to have gotten away, though.
Bonnie helped, too.
Meow. Oh, wait, Bonnie's not here,
That's
huh?
true. It was all thanks to her that Bernard was finally exposed.
And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for you meddling kids and your
And
little
it looks like
cat,
she's grown
too.
quite fond of you two as well. Then I'll leave you be. Just let me know if you find any other new leads.
Seems Lynette still has something on her mind. Attempt to close the case. Let's talk to Lynette. I'm more worried about her. I could care less about Pierre. Something on your mind still?
It was that obvious, huh? Well, even though it didn't feel like Bernard was lying, after talking to him, I'm getting an even stronger sense that something's not quite right. We investigated so quickly that perhaps we've missed a thing or two along the way. Let me activate deduction mode and consider things again from the top to see if we can find anything new. Is there still anything unresolved or strange that we should try to consider?
Like why they were doing the dead drops like 3 feet from where they were making it? About what we found in Poisson, about Bernard's letters, the unexplained part of the operations, this trafficking ring.
The Marechaussee Phantom found Bonnie and the Lefebvre pendant at Pierre's residence. That was the beginning point of our investigation.
Pendant. The end of Lefebvre. The pattern of the pendant is proof he's owner of the legitimate title of the Lefebvre family. But this shouldn't be all. The Lefebvre family is infamous in Fontaine, and even their innocent scions became targets of revenge, but Pierre just carried the pendant with him as if it was an ordinary piece of jewelry. Bonnie has been with Pierre since the first meeting between Pierre and the Marechaussee Phantom, and that's why Elodie came looking for her. But that shouldn't be all. According to Bernard, the trafficked animals were taken directly to Pierre's base, rather than to Poisson. Pierre became the key suspect in the case because of a suspicious cat and a suspicious pendant.
Why would he leave such an obvious trail for us to follow when he took so much care to not leave any traces of imitation synth in his home?
About Bernard's letters.
Bernard claims to have received a letter last night from Pierre. In the letter, Pierre stated that he had gone into hiding. Is there something wrong with the letter?
Letter's delivery method. Regardless of whether he sent it anonymously or secretly delivered it himself, it's no longer something we can follow up on. Lost cat Bonnie. The letter didn't mention Pierre's hiding spot, although it makes sense that Pierre wouldn't want anyone to find him. Bonnie had already been on the loose for a few days when we found her yesterday morning. That means that she had already broken free when the letter was written. If the point of the letter was to tell Bernard to get on his guard, then why didn't it also warn him about Bonnie?
If Bonnie had imitation synth in her body, then she was a liability that had to be recovered at all costs. But if she wasn't carrying anything, then it would have made sense to tell Bernard not to worry. And thinking about it, Bernard only attracted our attention in the first place because he came to look for Bonnie. Could it be that the person who wrote the letter also knew nothing about Bonnie's whereabouts? Or they had a separate goal entirely?
Or they hadn't known that Bonnie had gotten missing.
Well, we've discovered that Bernard is responsible for the trafficking, while Pierre deals with supplying the goods. Is there something else in this scheme that we're missing?
Who are the customers? Bernard can be compensated for his work after completing a shipment. No suspicious record would be left along with he receives funds as an individual rather than through a humane society. A past member of the Lefevre family would probably have a number of connections outside of Fontaine. They always communicated in writing. All those letters have been burned, so we can no longer confirm or trace anything. According to Chevreus's investigation, Pierre has been formally reprimanded for his synth-related research and can no longer get any materials from the Fontaine Research Institute. We've already proven Bernard and Pierre coordinate on their behalf on handoffs by passing floating barrels through each stretches of water. No, I don't think that can be used.
There's no need to rush. Perhaps.
Okay.
Now behave, and follow me to the...
Ow! That hurt. Ow!
Contemplation. Adequate preparation, friendly aid can sometimes result in these. Check your bonuses, randomly making it easier to check. Current check bonuses, initial suspicion +5, letters purpose +5. That's 21. Nice. We're playing D&D. No, I can't let her get away. Hold it right there.
Is there something else you need from me, Traveler?
Bernard and Pierre, they weren't really acting alone, were they?
Huh?
I see. It all makes sense now.
Hey, what are you talking about? Look, even our confessed criminal here has no idea what you're saying.
Because he has been kept in the dark all along. And I assume it's the same with Pierre.
Bernard thought he was communicating with Pierre, and Pierre thought he was taking orders from Bernard. But for all this time, neither of them knew that there was a third person all along.
That never quite added up for me. Why did Pierre feel compelled to return to his home with Bonnie and Dependent, and make them so easy to find for the Marechaussee Phantom?
Any animals Pierre received from the floating barrels should have been taken directly to his base, and considering his precarious situation, the pendant should have been the last thing Pierre would have leave lying around.
Both of these things are in stark contrast to his usual meticulous and vigilant behavior. There's only one reasonable explanation. He was following orders, just like Bernard. He probably received the following instructions right before the Phantom came knocking on his door. Bring the cat and the pendant, and our undercover agent will be sure to help you. Unbeknownst to him, however, the third person who wrote that letter to him had long decided to sacrifice him and Bernard to save themselves.
He instructed the two men to communicate through the letters and barrels specifically so that they'd never meet each other. Honestly, this third person probably planned to sell them both out from the very beginning.
You can't be serious. There was a third person involved?
If you focus only on Bernard's testimony, it's easy to believe that only Bernard and Pierre were working together.
Yeah, that makes
The
sense.
case appeared extremely simple. Bernard did the trafficking, Pierre the imitation synth production, drugging, and stuffing.
With everything accounted for, the third person would then be cleared of all suspicion. And she was covered in synth as well. The dog was following her back at Lumidos Harbor. I guess that's why we were supposed to be suspicious of her.
Wait. That doesn't make any sense. If that's the actual truth, then as soon as Pierre is caught, he'll explain his side of the story and the third person will...
Yep, which is why the third person made sure that Pierre would never be found again.
Pierre's dead, isn't he?
Once they had instructed Pierre to expose himself, the third person wrote to Pierre again, suggesting that everything had been taken care of, and he should take Bonnie and safely return to his base.
Then they ambushed Pierre and made him disappear.
Of course, Pierre's disappearance at such a sensitive time immediately made him a prime suspect. Knowing that Bonnie had last been seen with him, All the third person would have to do from that point on would be to lead the Phantom to investigate the Humane Society and get Bernard to confess the truth.
Bernard would testify that Pierre was the one who came up with the whole plot, and Pierre would be seen as going into hiding in anticipation of getting caught.
So you're saying that the letter I received yesterday, the one that made me think Pierre was still alive, it was also sent by the third person?
Is that what happened? I'll get back to headquarters right away and reinvestigate this case from the top.
Not so
Chevra
fast.
said that assumptions can be detrimental to solving a case. Someone among us, however, has been feeding us all kinds of preconceived notions ever since our first meeting. They suggested that Pierre's disappearance was an attempt to escape the judgment of the law, and that Pierre was a scion of the Lefebvre family. But if the disappearance is truly just a cover-up for a murder, then couldn't the true scion have been an illegitimate daughter, rather than an illegitimate son?
Miss Elodie Lefebvre?
Haven't you taken this joke a bit too far? You're right. I did let a lot of assumptions get to my head when I first started to talk to you about the case. I'll make sure to correct my behavior.
Her speaking tone just switched there.
You deliberately fed us lies, but even you could not control every last detail of your plan. There was a flaw in your scheme, and something didn't quite go as planned. Getting the Marechaussee Phantom to notice Pierre was only the first part of your plan. Had they failed to take notice of the Humane Society, they could have cast a wider net. And you couldn't predict what they might possibly find, if given enough time. This, of course, was the main weakness of your plan.
And once the Special Patrol and Lini got involved, it became harder to control the outcome of the
As
investigation.
someone accustomed to acting from behind the scenes, you didn't want to take the risk of personally proposing a raid on the Humane Society. So, you thought about pulling a few more strings, so all the suspicion would point towards Bernard and his society.
A great option, of course, would also be to dispose of Bonnie and leave her body at Pierre's base in anticipation of later discovery.
Once the Phantom expanded their search, it would only be a matter of time before they found Pierre's base. If a cat last seen with the suspect turned up dead at the imitation synth base, it wouldn't be long until the Phantom would figure out exactly how she had been mistreated and turn their eyes towards the one organization that has been sending boatloads of animals out of Fontaine.
Now something unexpected happened at the base. Bonnie managed to escape the chaos.
It was probably during your ambush of Pierre. You didn't even have the time to check if she had already been stuffed full of imitation synth. Still, you soon found another opportunity. Before long, Bonnie had made her way back into the city, and even popped up on the Steambird.
So yeah, the only evidence we really have is that she has artificial synth on her because she probably visited to the lab to kill Pierre.
Like Bernard, you desperately wanted to confirm
Whoa.
the contents of her stomach, so you hurried to find us. Unlike Bernard, however, you were hoping that Pierre did have the time to make her swallow a load of imitation synth. While investigating the suspect's cat, we unexpectedly discovered that the suspect has been smuggling imitation synth using living animals as intermediaries. That was your plan, in any case. With that, you'd have been able to lead the investigation towards the Humane Society.
But Bonnie was very lucky.
Bonnie had managed to escape before Pierre was able to stuff her full of imitation synth. That part of your plan could no longer be carried out. But as shrewd as you were, you came up with another plan right away. You manipulated the Traveler and I to help you identify Bernard as a key suspect.
You knew Lynette was investigating the case with Chevreuse, and you also knew Lynette's previous encounter with the Lefebvre family.
You used the Lefebvre name as bait to get us to join your investigation. With 2 extra bodies around, the Special Patrol is sure to soon take note of the strange event of Bernard somehow having a reason to look for Pierre's cat.
So, what you're saying is, I went to all that trouble just for the chance that you might put forth the suggestion that would lead you down the wrong path.
Of course, you did far more than that. Just now at Lumidu's Harbor, were you not the person who highlighted the suspicious activities of the Society?
By showing us the port's travel logs. That part I didn't really think was... I expected them to be involved from the very beginning, because Bernard was super suspicious from the start. I only really started to suspect Elodie when we met her at the harbor, not because she put us on the trail of the Humane Society, but because the dog was smelling the synth on her.
You even highlighted the Society's activities during your compilation of the logs, so they'd be immediately visible to anyone examining the records. Moreover, the logs contained no records of the Port Authority's activities. In other words, your activities.
I did take a note of that, and I thought it was really suspicious that the cops were excluded from the record.
And what are you trying to suggest with that?
I
was just trying to make a joke that
plenty of
a lot of cops in
opportunities
reality
to
are really
transfer the raw
fucking corrupt.
materials for imitation synth from the harbor to a boat, and then sail over to the meeting place full of floating barrels.
Once Bernard had placed the animals in the barrels, you'd open the lids and dump in the raw materials. As long as you did it before Pierre came for his pickup, there'd be no one the
And
wiser.
that's how neither the trafficker nor the manufacturer knew there was a third person who supplied the raw materials, and surreptitiously operated between them.
Then you instructed Bernard to prepare the floating barrels and animals. After that, you slip the raw materials into the barrels next to the animals and requested Pierre to pick up the barrels and bring them back to
Pierre
his base.
manufactured imitation synth using the raw materials you provided, stuffed the animals, and placed the animals back into the barrels. Having received the green light from you as Pierre, Bernard then retrieved his animals and shipped them out of Fontaine once he had received enough for a full batch. This is the truth behind your smuggling ring.
I can't believe it. I never put 2 and 2 together.
It's not 2 and 2. This is 1 and 1 and 1 makes 3.
You've sure got an extremely lively imagination.
So what do you think she's going to say next?
Ever thought about our career in writing crime novels?
Ever thought about a career in writing crime novels, huh?
Ah, we're doing the Joseph Joestar thing. Your next line is...
It appears that it's quite easy to predict what you'll think or say. Then if we apply that to this case, we can also think of a few places to look for incriminating evidence. You know very well that this case will not end until Pierre is found, so you will have him commit suicide out of fear and shame to end the investigation for good. That way, you can also pin the blame for the overseas smuggling activities, the theft of the harbor's confiscated raw materials, and even the Lefebvre name on him. After all, dead men tell no tales. But you still want it to appear as if he had sent that last letter to Bernard, so you have to make sure he cannot be found until after Bernard has confessed to the authorities. To do that, you either will hide his body until you've found an appropriate time to set up a fake suicide scene, or you'll dump it someplace where it'll be hard to determine the exact time of death. Submerged in water, for instance. The location would ideally allow you to keep the body hidden for some time while also letting you keep an eye on it.
You could also keep him in a very cool environment to be handled later, or set fire to make it look like it burned himself to crisp. An example of such a place may be somewhere in your own boat, underneath the waters near Lumidu's harbor.
There are only so many options to hide a person's time of death, after all. As long as the Phantom investigates each of the possibilities in turn, they'll surely find Pierre's remains. Especially since, as the prime suspect who will now be taken into custody, you will no longer have the time to move him, or set up a fake suicide scene to cover up the murder.
Unless you've already done so, in which case, congratulations!
How absurd. And on what grounds will you order my arrest? Don't think for a second that your spouts of nonsense will amount to any kind of real argument. After all, I'm...
Elodie Lefebvre!
Okay, I'm guessing their side of the investigation was much more fruitful than ours.
As the captain of the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol, I hereby declare you as a suspect in the case. If you have any objections, you may raise them later during interrogation.
Chevreuse, Lenny!
That's right. We received a message from Lumidu's harbor that you were going to investigate the Humane Society. We didn't expect to run into you at such a critical moment.
While at the harbor, we noticed something else extremely interesting. Apparently, you often used all kinds of excuses to swap your shifts. And if one were to match the times of your shifts to the activities of the Humane Society and those of certain foreign ships, they'd find them to be an exact match.
That is a very, very conspicuous detail.
That's just a coincidence.
I like this time of day.
Yes, I'm sure you have already thought of a dozen different ways to explain away the suspicious activities. But as far as evidence goes, that should be enough to warrant taking you into custody.
Don't worry. If it turns out that the guards are still unable to find any evidence after all this, Lynette and I will do everything in our power to clear your name.
Although judging by her reaction, I assume no follow-up from us will be needed.
The Lefebvres were infamous for using disguise and infiltration to achieve their goals. Who would have thought that they would have planted someone within the guards?
Everyone. If you had given me that infiltration and disguise aspect, everyone would have expected that. I expect some of the special forces too. Maybe even the Maison Garde Mage.
Judging from the timeline, they likely arranged for you to enter the guards before the fall of the clan. But they probably didn't expect you to turn it to your advantage and use your job to save yourself during the purge.
Not only that, but you actively participated in the interrogation, arrest, and judgment of the Lefebvres during their fall, thus clearing yourself of suspicion. You brutally and cruelly abandoned your allies as soon as they outlived their usefulness, just like a lizard cutting off its own tail in order to live. You've been doing this for years.
So you played me like a fool after all?
Oh, he got killed, didn't he? Bernard is suddenly knocked out by a sudden strike.
What was that word you used? Ally? You think that someone as foolish as him is worthy to call himself my ally? They were worthless scum. All of them. Not just Bernard and Pierre, but those Lefebvres too. They always just saw me as a tool. I lost all my chances of a normal life just because I was born into their lot. Not only that, but because they wanted me to become an undercover agent, they stripped me of my name, too. I had to live in constant fear of them while they were alive. And even once they were gone, I had to continue to bury my heritage and my name. Always worrying that their enemies would come knocking at the door. Do you know anything about what I've been through over all these years? My life as the last Lefebvre?
I would assume that there's others. Your story can't be a very minutiae case. There's probably others.
I don't, and neither do I care.
Ooh, spit her words back at her. You can save that speech for the trial. I actually care. I do, believe it or not.
Are you for real? Aren't you a Lefebvre victim too?
Elodie, you're the only one still living under the shadow of a name.
That's enough. Keep your hands where I can see them and do not resist arrest. If you have more to say, save it for the interrogation room.
What a joke. What a joke!
She's gonna kill herself, isn't she?
Hey!
Oh, that's not good.
Don't come any closer.
What's that?
I don't think that's anything good.
Know what this is? I've secretly planted loads of explosives in the Humane Society. Just one step closer and...
Lenny's gonna knock it out of her hand with a card, right?
Whether they're cats, dogs, or just unlucky human employees, they'll all be blown up into smithereens. Surely you bunch of goody two-shoes won't let that happen, right?
Oh no. I have to roll a d20 again. Assist Lenny in deceiving. Try to convince Louis to surrender. Stealth, launch a sneak attack while she's distracted. This is terrible. I'm gonna go with the me method. We're gonna try persuasion. Let's hostage negotiate. 15. Ugh. Not good. Surely a bunch of goody two-shoes won't let that happen, right? Whoa, just calm down a minute there.
I have nothing left to say to any of you. Gardamex, get him!
Not good. She's trying to escape. We need to end this fight as soon as possible.
Hey! Ah! No one escapes my sight. Bet you can't keep up with me. Incoming.
Busted so quickly, huh? Good thing I've already bought enough time to escape.
You're still here? Begins to believe she's finally made it and knocked out from behind by what?
Phew. So I was right after all. It's easier to deal with the person causing the problem than the problem itself.
What about that device she had?
This is it. Looks like it's just a toy.
So she was really just bluffing?
Guess that's probably why she suddenly flipped and knocked out Bernard. He probably knew that there were no explosives at the society.
She also pretended she had a villainous breakdown, as if she had no choice but to kill and escape for her life.
Well, given that she never even showed her face to Bernard and Pierre, I had my doubts that she'd have gone to the society in person to plant explosives.
Thank you for your help, everyone. I'll take them back for thorough questioning, and find someone better to take over the Humane Society. I might need a few statements from everybody. Would you be able to come with me?
I think the Humane Society is going to be gone soon, because without Bernard and this illegal drug operation, that was the only thing keeping it afloat. So, this is actually just going to be bummer for everyone involved. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
If statements are all you need, can Linny provide them on my behalf?
I could provide them on your behalf.
I still need to go back and explain some things to the crew. I also had an appointment with the Traveler before we got interrupted.
That too. What did she say again? Contemplation. 15. I remember that when we parted ways at the Steamboat yesterday, she mentioned something about having tea together at her place, but we were interrupted by Elodie and the others.
So you do remember. Yes, I invited you to come over to our place.
She's doing the double thumbs up again.
Once I'm done talking with the troupe, I'll make a nice cup of tea and bring Bonnie to wait for you outside of my door.
Hi, Bonnie.
You can leave the rest of this to me. The other guards will be joining me shortly. Don't worry, they won't have another chance to escape.
Still a few things I'm curious about.
The materials have many other regular uses outside of being used to make imitation synth, so they're not immediately subject to being confiscated or destroyed. The harbor would usually just seize them for some time while the customs paperwork is filled out and approved. If approved, they'd be let through, and if not, they'd be returned to sender. Elodie probably used her position to replace a portion of the shipment with something else before sending the whole shipment back to sender. Given that the foreign merchants who sent in the shipments were probably working with her in the first place, they likely just never reported the difference in what they sent and what they received. We will, of course, continue to investigate the rest of the details of this case.
Okay.
Now that we've caught Elodie, figuring out the whole scheme should just be a matter of time.
Makes sense. How are you processing all this, Linny?
You must have spent a record-breaking amount of time in serious mode today. I can't remember the last time I've seen you like this. Is it because of a special someone?
How did Pierre get recruited into the scheme?
Based on information that we found before, imitation synth was first circulated on a small scale in Fontaine before becoming a large-scale smuggling scheme. I'd assume that the first offerings of imitation synth came from what Pierre made in his early days. But since he was not experienced with running a clandestine operation, he was soon discovered by guard Elodie. Elodie saw the opportunity to make a great profit in his work, and perhaps even the chance of making a new life for herself, so she decided to cover his tracks. She started writing to him in Bernard's name, using what evidence she had compiled and the promise of enormous profits to blackmail him into cooperating with her.
But that's just a theory.
Unfortunately for her, she ran into Lynette. Even though my sister doesn't like to focus too much on a regular day, serious mode Lynette is one of the most perceptive people I've ever known. Still, all of that thinking really saps her energy. I need to go give some statements on her behalf, so I'll leave the recharging to you.
Alright. Well, glad that we had that. Also, I just realized our objective literally just says recharge with Lynette.
Black tea and a cute kitty. Truly the best combo for standby mode. Want some?
A cute kitty, please.
Mm-hmm. I hope you'll like it.
About Elodie's case. Are you not interested in any follow-up developments?
Not at all. Information is indeed very important, but if you were to try to collect every piece of information you come across, your efficiency would actually decrease.
I mean, we got to solve the cat owner thing, so everything else worked out fine.
Plus, if you just think about it, what sounds more fun? Writing a statement or enjoying a tea party?
Tea party,
Great
of
answer.
course.
That'd be my pick too.
She's weirding me out with the double thumbs up. It feels really out of character for her.
Had we not run into that case, we could have spent the entire day like this. But now, I'm running low on both time and energy.
The key isn't how long you spend on standby mode. With quality time, you should be able to recharge more quickly.
You're right. I
I'm
can
doing
sense
fine.
it. I'm recharging very quickly at the moment.
Still have a question, though. When did you start to suspect Elodie?
Something about her rubbed me the wrong way since the very beginning. But to be more precise, it was probably around the time when I saw Bonnie try to get away from her.
Back when Elodie tried to get close to Bonnie?
Elodie tried to get close, but Bonnie deliberately dodged her. Maybe Bonnie had tried to evade her before at Pierre's base. Or perhaps Bonnie just instinctively knew that she wasn't a good person. Not everyone who likes cats is a good person. But if cats like you, you're probably alright.
Fair enough.
Humans tend to overthink things, but cats rely on their instincts, and they're pretty sharp. I mean, just look at Bonnie. She took a liking to you the moment you met.
Deck of detectives, adventurers, investigators, and cats. Your story has come to an end. For now. We'll save that image. That's probably going to be on the thumbnail. Now we get to do the fun thing. That was just one ending. Are there other endings? There's 4 more endings. A chance meeting, a decision. Yeah, I figured it all branched off from there. Oh! Falling into layers of fog. Interrogate Bernard. So there's a branching part here. We'll do this one first. I wonder if it has to do with failing
Now
this
behave.
test.
And follow.
Ow! That hurt. Ow!
You can leave Bernard's interrogation to the guards versus risking the animals of the Humane
Is
Society.
everything really over? I still feel like the relationship between Pierre and Bernard is not as simple as it appears. Also, I've had this strange sense that something's off the entire time we've been on the case. And it has only gotten worse. Ugh,
No, it just keeps going down.
no good. I've still got nothing.
Her mood
Running
just
out of
went
energy.
down so fast. Don't force yourself. Just leave it to Lenny and the others.
Alright, I'll stop thinking about it for now. At the very least, we've made it so that no more animals will suffer like those poor animals did. And that's what I hope. Let's go to the Humane Society and see if there are any animals left that might still need our help before my energy for today completely runs out.
Alright, we did find a new branching path. Oh. Save the kitty. The truth remains submerged in the dark undercurrents, yet hope lies in the lies beyond the cage. That would make a good thumbnail too, actually. Interesting. And now we're back up to like 1,000 ping again. What the fuck's going on? Falling into layers of fog. The Robo Girl's rest and relaxation. Robo Girl. Harbored secrets. Pierre's lost base. Left Rivera's curse. Forgotten cat. A decision.
I'm all for work-life balance, but I think this is pushing it.
Alright. Another ending. We still got 3 more endings to find.
Huh. I didn't like that. Was I using it wrong? Maybe if I just...
All the cards fall out and picks one at random.
Clearly, there's some design flaws to iron out. I'll have to let Fremine know.
I feel like this maybe wasn't a design
Let's
issue.
see, which card did I get? 4.
Less than 5, so that means no helping Bonnie.
Well, the cards fell on the ground though, so I don't... If you want to get the right answer, you have to let fate... So, to put it another way, if picking a card up off the ground is how to not leave it to fate,
I like how there's a skip
Or-
button for dialogue we haven't seen yet.
why don't you pick a card? Since I ran into you here, that means... our fates are, like, interfering with each other.
Should leave the razzle-dazzling to Linny.
Thank you. This one is final, I promise. Here, take the fatometer. If it's 5 or above, that means fate also. If you have...
Alright, so we did the fatometer, because that was the funny meme. We played D20 for basically 2 hours. How about you do neither?
Back to the drinks reception.
I mean, clearly you don't want to go. You could just...
Nope, I said it was your decision. I'm not gonna waste any more energy dragging my feet. Besides, the drinks reception is technically part of the job as an official publicity event. So, if I bail on it,
You feel guilty
I
inside?
might get sued for breach of contract, and that would be a huge pain in the butt.
Oh, that. That sounds like a big deal.
One other thing. Do you want to come with me? If you're free, I mean.
Sure, let's bring the cat too.
Thanks.
Mask. Alright, we're done with the detective story. Now it's Mask. Over the railing. The only practical way to enter a building. I wonder how much longer it'll take to do these last couple endings. It'll be nice to have a nice, really long video to upload for once. We started streaming early, particularly so that we would have time to do a longer
There
stream
you
today.
are, Lynette! Where did you disappear to? Leone and I have been looking everywhere for you. Wait, where did you get the cat?
Oh, we did bring the cat.
I found her outside. Do either of you happen to recognize her?
I don't think so. Could belong to one of the guests, I suppose.
Fair enough. It was a long shot.
So sorry we couldn't help you, Lynette.
Don't worry. We'll ask around for you. Leone's probably just being forgetful.
Maybe you could leave her with us. We'll
Twins.
take her to the reception desk and see if they know anything.
Sure. I would help, but I'm a little preoccupied. Sorry to dump this on you.
It's no trouble at all. We're happy to help however we can.
Also, if it's no trouble, I mean, could we maybe get an autograph?
And maybe a photo too?
Leone, you can't spring that on her now. Not while she's working. At least wait until the event's finished. One last thing, Lynette. Director Mary is looking for you. We'll take the cat to the front desk now. See you later.
Bye, Bonnie. You're so popular.
I'm not usually required at these kinds of events, so I don't even have an event mode. Alright, guess I'd better go see the director.
Man, what a Debbie Downer.
Spectacular choreography, a masterpiece of mise en scène, and the performance, oh my, groundbreaking, dripping with je ne sais quoi.
Je ne
My
sais quoi.
congratulations on another magnificent show, sir.
Yes, yes. I, for one, was particularly captivated by the clearly allegorical narrative undertones. The lost puppet
It was a
shines
mime
spotlight on the
performance.
impact of technological advances in our modern society, particularly as they relate to changing modes of emotional expression and the challenge of mutual intelligibility.
Oh my god, they're reading way too into this.
Such a pioneering work, so far ahead of its time. A tour de force of avant-garde theater.
Mime is not avant-garde theater.
I can already see the headlines of tomorrow's newspapers. They will certainly be singing your praise, Director Mariyu.
How come you don't have a critic under your name?
But it was a group effort, of course. To convey emotions in a silent show with no facial expressions, the entire cast had to go above and beyond. Everyone truly outdid themselves.
I respect that man.
Speaking of the cast, Jillian, another strong performance from you in Director Mariyu's latest show, as of course we've all come to expect from your numerous successful collaborations to date.
Who?
That's quite an overstatement. I've only ever played supporting roles.
On that point, you stated a few months ago in an interview that you were looking to secure a leading role in your next show. What led you to the decision to stay in a supporting role this time around?
Lynette didn't want to do this. I don't know. Aren't we here? I thought we were here.
We had a discussion about this, and while Lynette hadn't previously performed in an acting role, we were blown away by her talent, and she was a perfect fit for this character. Quite simply, this was the role she was born to play.
I actually believe it, considering what we've heard about the story so far.
Exactly. I was honored to share the stage with her. Lynette worked extremely hard in all of the rehearsals, and she's an incredibly talented actress.
Oh, Lynette's back!
Hey, Lynette, where have you been?
Were you in standby mode? Some reports say you switched to that state to recharge after a show.
Ah, method acting, of course.
Oh, God.
Such a compelling portrayal of a mechanical
I
puppet
hate these
can only
critics.
be achieved
Oh,
by an
God.
actor who
I can
lives
feel my skull
and
melting.
breathes their role even while off stage.
Those seemingly stilted movements were in fact an inspired
Where's Fischl?
portrayal
I
of
need
the
to hear
character.
Fischl talk for 5
The
minutes.
ostensibly bad acting, in reality, was
At least
the
what she
product
says
of
has more-
supreme acting skill.
At least we know that she's just trying to sound important. These people are pretending that it isn't professionally.
Oh, I went outside and there was this cat there, so I played with the cat for a bit.
Beautiful.
A cat. We've long heard that you are a kind soul, as well as an incredible actress. No wonder your debut performance has garnered such popularity.
It was a mistake telling her to come here.
This show looks on track to break box office records for avant-garde theater. Lynette, any words for the fans?
Not really, no.
I believe Lynette is trying to
Stop
say that
reading
the act
into
of
it.
performance itself
Oh
is
my
the actor's
God.
true means of connecting with their fans.
Oh, I see. Lynette, any comments?
Right, exactly.
But don't you want the fans to know
No,
how you're
don't say
feeling
that,
right now?
Lynette. You're gonna
After the
fucking feed
hugely
their ego. They're gonna ask
successful
more
opening of your
questions.
first ever show?
Oh, God.
That's true.
I'm sure the fans would love to learn a bit more about you, too.
At least the reporters are being reasonable. These critics are fucking losing my mind.
How interesting.
Oh no, we're playing more D&D. 10. $13. His voice was so deadpan during the interview. It sounded like she's on an auto-reply bot. Hold on, Lynette only just finished performing. She needs to recharge.
Really? I'm so sorry. How rude of me.
Huh? Wait, you're the traveler who's been in the news. Did you come to see the show?
Oh shit, I forgot we're a celebrity. Quick, exit, stage left.
Wow! Are you a fan of Lynette too? Do you have any comments on her first performance?
I didn't see the show. I was just invited as a guest. Struggle to keep up as you're inbound with questions at long last the crowd eventually disperses. You alright?
Yeah, it's just... Turns out, even with you here to share the load, I can't cope with this stuff, even in Tea Party mode.
Tea Party mode? Oh no, it's the creepy double thumbs up.
It's a power-saving mode for participating in conversation at tea parties. Normally, I can get through an entire conversation just with, Oh, that's true. And how interesting.
Ah, yes. The mastery of idle conversation. Wow. Really? Tell me more.
But at a tea party, I'm not normally subjected to a constant stream of questions. The energy consumption of that interview just now was 3 times as much as the average tea party.
Man, you're starting to sound like Kokomi when she's running out of points. It's a big adjustment. Give it some time. Maybe after a few more interviews, you'll get used to it.
I think I'd rather pray that I never have to do it again.
You will have to do it again, unfortunately. It's part of being a celebrity. You're gonna have to ask questions. You're gonna have to deal with reporters. I don't make the rules, kid.
Lynette, Director Mariu would like you to join the group photo to commemorate the successful opening of the show.
A group photo?
That's easy. You just gotta stand still and... Well, no one said you had to smile.
It's just the members of the troupe, along with Maloney and Corentin. Everyone's waiting for you.
Who's Maloney and Corentin? We met Maloney in the previous scene, but who is he?
Alright then. See you in a minute.
Can I take the photo? Alright, group photo.
3, 2, 1, smile.
Damn, they did say smile.
My thanks to each and every one of you here for your help in making The Lost Puppet a success. The group photo is already being printed as I speak. You can collect your copy from the first floor after the drinks reception concludes. May it serve as a reminder of this fabulous performance every time you see it.
Mariu! Get over here. Let's have another drink. There's a few things I need you to glance over for me.
Wait, that means the reception still isn't over?
I thought the group photo was the final hurdle. Well, at least there's no more people hounding me with questions. I just need to find somewhere to switch to standby mode, and the time will fly by.
I hope.
I hope.
The whole investigation stuff actually in the previous timeline of events happens the day after this, so technically that could still happen. We could still somehow getting involved in that case, though I kind of hope we don't. Let's find a conversation to eavesdrop on. Go to the second floor and pass the time. Alright. Farina?
Hotel de Bour's Ile Flottante is as wonderfully sweet as ever.
How are you here not being hounded by reporters?
Traveler? Lynette? Oh, wait, hold on. What do you mean, managed to get an invite? I'm an expert in the dramatic arts. Of course I was invited.
Naturally, people wanted to hear my comments on the emerging art form that is the masked mime show.
I wonder if it would have let me do this one before doing her character quest, because she doesn't have a vision before you do that.
Remarkable, and a very worthwhile artistic endeavor. Exploring a character with no lines or facial expressions who can only communicate how they feel through their movement. Your performance was beyond anything I could have imagined, Lynette. Clearly, this was a very suitable role for you indeed.
I'm curious, what mode were you in for the role?
Basically, I think I'd give it a positive review overall, just not as gushing as the crowd downstairs. So, you thought they were pretty over the top too?
Yes. Anyone who's had to deal with critics in their life can tell that they're just fucking flaunting their fucking bullshit.
In fairness, it's normal to bring along some vocal supporters for publicity when a new show opens, but still, this was something else.
I hope I never see them again.
Then again, I'm no specialist in avant-garde theater. Maybe I'm just not well acquainted with their review criteria. Or
I don't think
maybe
anyone
it's
is.
because I came to the show with some preconceived expectations. I did happen to see the original draft of Mariu's script a while back. What original draft? Oh? He didn't show it to you? It must have been a few months ago. He came to me to get some advice from an experienced performer's perspective, and then asked if I could write a few reviews of his new play. I had a lot on my plate at the time, so I had to turn him down. I only skimmed a few sections, but they seemed quite different from the final version. I can't say I remember the plot, but I don't know. The protagonist just seemed more complex, I guess, especially in the last two scenes. Still a mechanical puppet on the outside, of course, but she seemed to have more emotional depth on the inside. Emotional depth? Oh, I'm just thinking aloud here. Don't take it to heart. Besides, a script and a play are two very different beasts. There are so many fine details to consider when turning a story into a stage production. More than most people could imagine.
Could have sworn one of the critics downstairs said this was an adaptation.
Especially with a novel art form like a masked mime show. I'm sure Mariu had his reasons for the changes he made.
Probably just to keep that actress down, because I'm super suspicious about how she was being treated.
Change of topic. I see you've escaped the crowds to seek refuge on the second floor. Fame can be overwhelming at first, can't it? Perhaps you'd benefit from hearing about the experiences of a veteran celebrity such as myself. No thanks, I'm good. Pretty sure this will be my first and last time in this situation. Hey, at least let me finish. I have top tips on dealing with belligerent reporters, slipping away to hunt down snacks during the intermission. Tell me everything.
How many fucking default poses do they give her for this?
We must partake of Hotel
Because
de
she's
Bois
doing this one a
fine
lot.
desserts as we talk, lest they go to waste.
3 of you enjoy some delectable treats as the reception comes to a close.
That was very educational.
Educational isn't the word I'd use. They didn't mention acting once in the whole conversation.
I expect most of the people downstairs have left by now. Time to grab my copy of the group photo and get home.
Pick up the cat at the front desk. Don't forget to pick up the cat at the front desk. Who needs stairs? Yeah! Where's the front desk? That's not the front desk, that's a table.
The photo must be in this envelope right here. It's finally over. Thank you for sticking around for so long. If it wasn't for you, I don't know how I would have standby moded my way through the last few hours.
Any normal person would find an event like this stressful, but enough to warrant Lynette leaving halfway through. When you left the event midway, what was the real reason? I mean, you really don't want to talk about it.
It's fine. It's just... It was such a minor thing. While I was on stage, there was a moment when I felt like someone was looking at me. It was only for an instant, and I didn't even see who it was. But somehow, I knew it was a look of contempt. I got a vague sense of it again during the reception. Like someone was giving me an evil stare. But I couldn't figure out who it was.
I think it might have been the person who was originally meant to play your role. Just a hunch.
Normally, I'm used to lurking in the shadows on the stage and spying on other people. So, it was strange, feeling like I was the one being spied on this time.
Could it have something to do with the original script? Maybe someone who's jealous of you? You did land a leading role in your first show.
Or someone just took a disliking to me for no real reason.
That too.
Sometimes
I wouldn't rule it
like
out.
one person and dislike another for equally pointless reasons. Anyway, it was just a momentary stink eye. That's all. Nothing for you to worry about.
Oh well, if you're not worried, I'm not worried.
Okay, problem solved. I'm gonna take this envelope and go home now.
Lynette's envelope. You heartless puppet. You've ruined this work. Hand over the role of lead actress immediately. Damn, I hate being right.
You have destroyed this work of art. Step down from the leading role at once. Based on the tone, I'd say threat letter is right.
This is far more serious than a momentary stink eye. We need to get to the bottom of it. Examine the letter to see if anything's amiss. Think back to what was happening on the first floor while we were taking the time out. I mean, there's enough hints there that basically confirm my theory. There were a lot of people downstairs at the time. Any one of them could have slipped the letter out into the envelope. All the envelopes were left on the table on the first floor, but nobody was tasked with watching them. I could ask reception, but it's unlikely they saw anything. Examine the letter. Unsealed envelope, group photo, some photographs. It's definitely meant for you. Demands Lynette to step down from the leading role. It doesn't say what happens if you don't, though. Neither of us recognize the handwriting. It's messy, perhaps to cover their tracks, or maybe this person is just messy handwriting.
I don't think we're gonna find any more clues here.
No, the clues were in the conversations we heard earlier. Shall we ask what Mario makes of you have destroyed this work of art?
Yes, let's. Whatever destroyed means, it could have something to do with the original script that Farina mentioned. Also, I'm gonna have to ask you to stick around a while longer.
Oh, shit. Drop my lid. There we go. All right.
I can't believe how well the whole Lynette's debut acting role thing
Whoa.
worked out. Even the avant-garde box office is laughing.
What's going on with that audio?
How could I ever have doubted you? If you hadn't stuck to your guns and kept sending those invitations, this opportunity would have passed us by.
See? I told you. All the times she'd refused in the past were all the more reason to keep inviting her, because it turns into a big talking point. Can you imagine if you'd gone with Jillian? You'd have been lucky to get half the ticket sales you've ended up with.
Ah, I see.
True. Well, Jillian still needs to get a few more productions under her belt.
Do you have a moment, Director Mario?
Oh!
Ah, if it isn't the star of the show! We were just talking about you. Hmm? Oh, and is that the legendary traveler with you? I'm guessing you're here to discuss the show with the director? Oh, you're a talented and hardworking actress, Lynette. It's no wonder you're getting such rave reviews.
Insight check. Despite his effusive words, looking as I suggest that he's not quite so delighted with Lynette's newfound stardom.
I'll leave you artists to discuss your work in peace. Mariu, make sure you give your star performer and her friend your full attention.
I certainly will. Lynette carries the fortunes of our entire troupe on her shoulders.
Who was that?
Mr. Maloney. An investor or something, I think. I've never asked him.
That was my assumption,
So,
too.
What can I do for the two of you? I'm afraid I'll have to dash soon as I'm meeting some friends from the newspaper. Otherwise, I'd love to stay longer.
We won't take up much of your time.
We heard that the original script for The Lost Puppet was quite different from the final show. I'm kind of curious to know what the protagonist was like in that version.
Oh, well, this is a surprise. I didn't think you'd be interested in that sort of thing.
He's the director and the author. That's also worth noting.
It's not uncommon for scripts to undergo major changes as they're being brought to the stage. But I'm afraid there's not much to tell you in this case. The protagonist has stayed the same from the beginning to end. A mechanical puppet with a bumbling body but a sensitive soul. A stranger in time who doesn't belong. There's no doubt about it. You are the protagonist, and the protagonist is you. The success of one is the success of the other, and that's what made this show an artistic triumph.
Sorry, you've lost me. Can you put it in plain words?
All right, then. Delving deep in the search of core truths is the job of an artist, after all. You shouldn't give your attention to early drafts of the script, Lynette. All it would do is sow confusion where you already have clarity.
He has a point. It's just what he's saying doesn't line up with what we've heard.
The current script is the final version because it is the best version, and your performance best brings that script to life. Why, if it weren't for you, I doubt any audience would give our show the time of day.
If everyone's happy with Lynette's performance, how do you explain this letter?
What letter? Oh my goodness!
He appears surprised. Expression is hard to read, but with the surprise seems genuine.
Destroyed this work of art? Really?
He really likes it.
Well, Director Mariu, any idea who might have written it?
No. Who on earth would write such nonsense?
We found it in the envelope containing the group photo. Could it be someone involved in the production?
Absolutely not. Without Lynette, this show would be over. Everyone's hard work would go to waste. No, there's no way that this is someone from the troupe.
I beg to differ. Well, if there's a way for Lynette to lie until this blows over.
Yeah, maybe Jillian could fill in for me for a while.
No! That's the worst idea.
What? No way. Out of the question. The protagonist has to be played by Lynette. Jillian can't... She's just not what the audience is looking for. Ah, I've got it. It's a competitor. Yes, this letter must be from a competitor of ours who's trying to get under Lynette's skin.
I think it's Jillian. Or one of Jillian's benefactors.
You can't lie low. That's just what they want you to do. The moment you step back from performing, they'll put their rumor mill into overdrive and drag us through the mud. They're just waiting for their chance to kick us while we're down.
A competitor? Really?
Definitely. Those lowlifes. Slander and libel are all their specialties. They drown out the truth with a flood of misinformation, and they stop at nothing once they get riled up.
Do you have a particular suspect in mind?
There's so many of them out there. Fame always seems to attract haters, no matter what you do to try and keep everyone happy. But don't worry, I will get to the bottom of this. Stay strong, Lynette, and keep up the good work on stage. I have to go and meet my friends from the newspapers now, but rest assured, I'll be discussing countermeasures with them.
So, A competitor, huh?
You think that's it? Because I don't.
I kinda doubt it. We've dealt with those types before. Usually their goal is to steal our venue for their own show, or to cover up a scandal by planting a story to divert public attention. But at the moment, I don't think anyone's got a reason to do any of that stuff.
I think this is personal.
Let alone pull a stunt like this. A threat letter is quite extreme. Besides, when I felt that evil stare, I'm pretty sure it was coming from somewhere backstage. So that rules out a lot of people. I'm
Are y'all
actually
really
more
dumb?
concerned about Maryu. When I mentioned Jillian, his reaction was pretty unusual.
It did seem pretty odd.
Especially since Maloney mentioned that the initial plan was to cast Jillian as the lead.
Thank you. We already knew this.
Sounds like there was an original protagonist as well as an original script. I should probably go talk to her.
Do you know where she lives?
Yep. She told me she lives in the Fleuve Sandra.
Oh. I guess we're going to Fleuve Sandra. Back to the seedy underbelly. I'm still a little bit disappointed with how little Fleuve Sandra played into the role of the story of the Fontaine Archon quest. I guess class warfare is just something that doesn't get a lot of good representation in media these days. It did get to be focused a little bit in that weird event that was time limited, where we got to meet Chevrus and Shiori. Roses and muskets. It was a fun update. I liked that update. Hell, we're still in the 4.5 update, and I still have stuff to cover.
What are you doing? You're not welcome here.
I've been to the Fleuve Sandra plenty of times before. This is the first I'm hearing about me not being welcome.
Things are different around here. You might be used to a crowd of bootlicking morons fawning over you wherever you go, but not down here. We know what you are.
Bootlicking morons?
He's got a bone to pick with you, I guess.
I don't know. I've never met this kid before.
Gina, stop that! Go home now!
Jillian?
No buts. How many times do I have to tell you? That had nothing to do with Lynette. If you don't leave right now, I swear I'll never invite you to one of my shows ever again.
Jillian?
I have a feeling this is a big Jillian fan or sister or something.
Just because Lady Farina speaks highly of you, it doesn't mean you're all that.
A few more choice words from Gina. She storms off.
I'm so sorry. Gina's always been a strong-willed child. That's why I never let her visit me at work.
It's okay. I have younger siblings too, so I get it. She's in her rebellious phase, huh? If you let angsty kids get you riled up, they'll drain all your energy.
I'll tell you.
Don't worry. I won't let it get to me.
I'll tell you this much. I now am suspicious, slightly less of Jillian. I said somebody on Jillian's behalf might have also done this, and I now have another suspect on my list. Hooray! Jillian's still suspect number 1, until proven otherwise. But the fact that a suspect number 2 exists is a good thing.
Well, this situation's a little different in this case, but still, thank you. So, what brings you to the Fleuve Sandra?
We came to talk about the original protagonist.
We heard about it from Maloney. He said you were originally supposed to play the lead.
Maloney, huh? Of course he couldn't keep his mouth shut. I'm sorry. I never mentioned it because Director Maryu was very clear that I mustn't let any of it affect you.
Circumstances have changed.
What's this?
Oh, another person is the author, because they said it was an adaptation, so there might be an original work that they're bastardizing. They could also take offense. So I have 3 suspects now. Jillian, Ginny, and the original author. I would make a great detective someday. Too bad I never will get to be one. I could always spring out and get a license to be a private eye. The sender thinks that Lynette destroyed the show. Got anything to do with the original script and protagonist?
I don't know, who would do something like this?
Gina, who we just met.
Don't be scared, Jillian. Just tell us what you know.
Okay, I'll try. It's true. I was originally cast as the lead in The Lost Puppet. I've worked with director Mariyu many times before, but only in minor roles. The audiences and critics never had much to say about me. Nothing terrible, but nothing amazing either.
Audiences and critics almost rarely have anything to say about supporting cast. It's one of the reasons why one of my favorite things to look forward to at the Oscars is Best Supporting Actor, because I like the side characters. The main actor gets all the screen time and the screen credit, but it's the interesting side characters that really make a story for me.
A few months ago, Mariyu started working on
Maybe
a
that's
new
why I
show,
like gacha games
so
so
I plucked up
much.
the courage to ask him if I could take the leading role. He was hesitant, but he agreed to let me try for the part. We did a few rehearsals, everything seemed to be going okay, but then...
There's been a change of plan, Jillian. The leading role will now be played by Lynette.
Lynette? But she always turns these things down, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
And that's why we cannot afford to waste this opportunity. Jillian, I understand how you must be feeling. But Maloney and myself have to do what's best for the production as a whole.
Oh god, I just realized how sore my arm is.
Next time, the lead will be yours. I promise.
He seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Disappointed at first, but I also know full well that I don't have Lynette's star power.
It's hard. When, like, an A-list actor shows up for your, like, C-list movie project. Like, let's say I make a YouTube video. I'm gonna write a script for a YouTube video starring, like, 3 actors. And then all of a sudden Brad Pitt walks in and says, hey, I'd like to play that role. Am I gonna turn down Brad Pitt? Me, personally, maybe I would turn him down if I had promised it to someone else previously. But I wouldn't turn down if he wants to be in it. That's just like... It's hard to compete with star power like that. It just boosts production value and at almost no effort. It's very easy and a lot of companies do it for a reason. It works.
Without Lynette, how could we ever convince people to pay money to go and see a masked mime show?
I mean, I would probably go see it. If the story's convincing enough to me.
And if the show was a flop with me in the leading role, how would I answer to the director and the rest of the cast? Then, I got to meet you on stage and found that you're really down to earth, in a way that not many celebrities are. You were kind to everyone, and your performance wasn't bad.
Personally, a masked mime show is like the perfect kind of performance where you could literally cast anybody. No one is going to blame the actors for a masked mime show being bad. It's going to be a lot more on the direction and what the actors were told to do.
Whatever disappointment I had left at that point, I certainly wasn't about to take it out on you.
By wasn't bad, you mean it wasn't great either. So, I'm guessing Mariyu changed the script to simplify the protagonist, make her a dumbed-down version of the mechanical puppet that I could actually play.
He did make some changes to the script, yes.
How do we get our hands on the original draft? Who currently has it?
Zaik, one of the other actors. He likes to collect Dr. Mariyu's old drafts because he hopes to be a director himself one day. He also lives nearby. I can arrange for you to meet him at the tavern.
Makes sense.
Jillian's being really helpful in this.
Alright, see you at the tavern then.
I guess that adds him to our list of suspects, because that puts him at someone who's seen the old script and might have liked it better. Also, there being another actor. Masks at the tavern. Hiya!
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Jillian brought me up to speed on the situation. I'm here to help however I can. Here, this is the script you're after.
Looks like he was constantly editing it. It's practically unreadable.
That's always the way with pen and paper drafts. Even the final script is full of last-minute changes by the director. There should be a cleaner copy of the original script in here somewhere. Ugh, sorry, it's all a bit mixed up. I just grabbed the whole stack of paper since I was in a rush.
No problem. Now activating search mode.
Oh
I'll
god.
go through one page at a time.
Hey, maybe I should just put that in the thumbnail. Fucking double thumbs up, Lynette. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, it's a chair. Okay.
I wonder what got into Director Mariu.
Maybe he's been quietly struggling with something.
Maybe. Alrighty, get ready for some reading. The official script for The Lost Puppet details the dancing puppet protagonist is rejected by all humanity and then begins searching for meaning of life. Begin investigation. Read carefully. Oh no. Search mode. Investigation +5. Oh, that's a 12, which means it's a 17. In Act 4, the protagonist loses the ability to dance due to wear and tear in her circuitry. There's a note saying, some cursory movements to get the point across will suffice. The audience's focus will be on the fancy set of extras. There are newspaper clippings amongst the notes. They're about shows of different styles. The first few pages have turned yellow, which means they must be quite old. $15. Nice. Mario's name does appear in some earlier clippings, but mostly this article is bemoaning a series of lukewarm receptions for experimental art form and empty seats at the avant-garde play, despite critical acclaim. In more recent years, there are many reports praising Mario as a forward-thinking director, one of the greats of his era. The articles are written by a variety of authors from an eclectic range of fields. Corrigan and Amory are the most prolific authors. Yeah, those were two of the reporters we did see. Mario's original script is littered with amendments. It's practically illegible. Read carefully. Ooh, we barely made that one. The reason it's so hard to read... I thought I was a 1, not a 7. I thought I pulled the 1. The reason it's so hard to read is that it's been edited with correction fluid multiple times. I'd estimate that each line was rewritten at least 3 times. Looks like Mario wasn't happy with his edits. These scripts seem to be Mario's older works. Some photographs of the live performances are attached. Skim through. It's a 15. We tied. We're gonna fail the last one of these, aren't we? I think my luck's gonna run out. The photos from recent years show fancy venues and polished sets. But the earlier photos show much humbler venues. The cast list shows that in recent years, Mario has collaborated with many famous celebrities, but the acting chops are disputed, and Maloney is listed as an investor. See what differences are between the current version of The Lost Puppet and the original. Investigate. Read carefully. Seven, 12 again. Wow, we got all 5. Act 4 seems to be a solo performance by the protagonist and is set just to some decrepit ruins. There's a note saying this will focus the audience's temperature on the solo performer.
The protagonist returns to the ruins where she began and performs a dance in honor of her deceased companions. She dances until her joints have rusted stiff and mechanical parts are falling from her body. Yep, that's not something a novice could hope to pull off after just a few months of rehearsals.
I disagree, but go ahead. The basic plot is the same. She loses all ability to dance due to wear and tear in her circuitry, but there's more emotion behind the scene. the memory of her former companions coming to peace with her life. The simple set and solo performance means the lead actress has to carry the whole scene herself. That is the part that is hard. It is a much more demanding role than any in the final script.
Frankly, I think that the original script is much better, and the original lead is the best fit. Jillian, shall I go tell Mariu to put you back in the leading role?
Huh?
What? Are you serious? But the next show is at the Opera Epiclese. It's such a huge opportunity.
But not such a rare one for me, though, right?
That's different. This isn't you as part of a magic duo. It's a chance to star as the main character in a show. You'll reach whole new heights of fame.
True. I didn't think about that. Lynette is always technically playing second fiddle to her brother, but that's mainly because she's not built for this. She doesn't like the attention.
Fame in small doses has its perks, but too much and I'll get overloaded. But if you play the lead, the fame will be yours, and I get to be free. Sounds like a win-win, don't you think?
It'll never work. There's no way Director Mariu or Maloney would ever agree to it. The set for Act 4 would need to change, as would all the marketing materials. And that would mean asking Maloney for a lot more Mora.
That is a fair point.
Changing actors at the last minute is just too risky. If anything went wrong, it could bankrupt the whole troupe. Plus, Maloney's friends have already published a ton of articles saying how this is the role that Lynette was born to play. No one else can play the protagonist now. If Lynette quit the show and I took her place...
It would destroy the reputation of Maloney's friends. None of their future articles would have any credibility.
If Lynette left, they'd sooner stop the whole show than let me take her place.
Stop the whole show? But all the people in the troupe, months and months of everyone's hard work would all be for nothing.
No wonder Mario will say anything to try and keep Lynette on board. Convincing him to replace the lead actress won't be easy. Contemplation. Is there any other way? Ooh. Newspaper clippings. +3, +3, +3. We're getting a +15 to this check. I don't think we can physically fail. Nat 20, baby! Woo! Judging from those documents, Mario's true intention seems to be...
You do? What is it?
All we need to do is this.
That's a bold plan.
I'm gonna get lunch after this stream. I'm starting to get hungry.
You know, it's a little crazy, but it might actually work.
I did plan on trying to go somewhere after 5, but it's starting to look like this is going to take too long.
No way. It's not worth taking such a huge risk just for a chance to be in the spotlight.
Jillian, you said before, whatever disappointment I had left, I wasn't about to take out on you. In other words, that disappointment is still there, but you've kept it bottled up inside. Be honest. You still hope to play the leading role, don't you?
But the thought of putting so many people out just for my sake?
I still think Gina is our prime suspect for who wrote the letter.
Jillian, you were more dedicated than anyone during the rehearsals for the original script. We all saw how hard you worked for this role.
I'm glad that we have another person here as a second opinion. Thanks, Juggy.
And I think you know that unless we decide to make a stand here, the path we're on is only going to take us further and further from our dreams, all of us. So take it from me, you would not be putting us out. Not one bit.
Whether the plan succeeds is up to you.
You guys...
I really hope we can get her the performance that she wants.
Okay. Let's do it. I will play my part.
Yes! I knew you'd come around. All right.
I'm gonna have to edit this one a lot for YouTube. Because if we hit the 3-hour mark, my editing software hates editing videos of 3 hours or longer.
Wait.
It struggles with 2
what about
hours.
The threat letter? Do you have any idea who sent it?
I have a pretty good hunch.
As long as we stick to the plan, I'll give up the lead role, so it won't matter anymore, right?
But surely you want to know who it's from. If they're out there and no one's keeping an eye on them, what if they come looking for you?
The threat letter never said anything would happen if we didn't give up the role. I think it was just calling us out.
I doubt they will. It's supposed to be a threat, but they didn't even say what would happen if I don't meet their demands.
See?
Plus, the handwriting is kinda childish. Doesn't look like a professional intimidator to me.
Okay, it's definitely the little sister.
Who knows? Maybe it was just a fan of yours having a moment.
Which was one of my initial assumptions.
A fan? Of me?
Maybe there's someone out there who really appreciates your talent. Even in the supporting roles.
I know people like me. That's how I got it. Takes one to know one. 13. Lucky 13. Fun fact, whenever I roll a d20, I seem to have a very disproportionate amount of 14s when I roll. Jillian's sister mentioned that Farina spoke highly of Lynette. But when could she have heard that?
It's getting late. We should be leaving.
That is a good point. So
Come
suddenly.
on.
I did think it was odd that she brought up the Farina, because I don't know where she would have heard it. You seem to hear a sound. You notice a faint sound of sobbing in the corner as you're leaving the tavern.
I'm such an idiot.
Sorry for manhandling you. You looked like you were seconds away from figuring out who sent the letter, so I had to act fast.
Was it Jillian's sister?
Nothing gets past you.
Just because Lady Farina speaks highly of you, it doesn't mean you're all that.
I'm so sorry. Gina's always been a strong-willed child. That's why I never let her visit me at work.
Farina hasn't released her official review of The Lost Puppet yet, which means Gina disobeyed her sister and secretly came to watch her at work.
I guess she must have snuck into the drinks reception and overheard our conversation with Farina. She idolizes Jillian, both as an older sister and an actress. And she watched as the dream role Jillian had been waiting to play for so long got snatched away from her by some amateur who's never acted before. To make matters worse, all the critics were hailing this amateur as a perfect fit for the role, and even Fontaine's former biggest star was praising her abilities.
Technically, she has done acting before, because if you remember during the Fontaine Archon quest, she actually was the one dressed up as Lenny during the box swap act, which means that she was putting on a performance as Lenny, which is really impressive. If she was actually doing that. They probably just put Lenny's model there and had Lenny do all the performance. I bet Damon Mills did it. It would be very funny if we could get Lynette to do a Lenny impression. It was too much for her to take, and she wrote the letter in a fit of anger.
And that pretty much sums it up.
Gonna confront her about it?
Like I said, getting angry at angsty teenagers is draining. Besides, if it was my younger brother or sister and they found out I'd been treated unfairly or had an opportunity stolen from me, they'd definitely do something far worse.
I don't want to think about it.
I was in Jillian's position once. Back when Linny and I were starting out, before we got famous, we just had to take things a day at a time. Doing our shows, slowly trying to build up our reputation. So I can understand Gina's frustration. Still, she could definitely use some pro tips on how to write a threat letter.
No wonder she's so hostile towards you. She must have been the one giving you that evil stare, right?
No, the way she looks at me is indignant, frustrated, but not malicious. Plus, she didn't even try to hide how she felt. Whoever was giving me that evil stare was backstage. Blending into the crowd at a drinks reception is one thing, but trying to blend in backstage, where everyone's on high alert waiting to be called on stage, would be a lot more difficult. We'll find out who it is before too long. In 2 days' time, at the next show. I think it will become very clear. On that note, guess I'll see you at the Opera House. Bye for now.
Alright. Oh god, we're doing the lag again. Oh no. Oh no. Oh god. For a second there I thought time had stopped. Alrighty. We're approaching the 3-hour mark. And we still have probably... This is going to be ending 3. There's still 2 more endings after this. Mask. Go to the Opera Epiclis. It looks like you can't warp straight in. Sad panda. Ah, here we are.
Oh, you're here. Lynette and Jillian are busy getting ready, so please come with me.
Who are you playing in the show, by the way? Act 1, In the Ruins.
That puppet in the middle. Is that Lynette? She's so pretty.
It's starting. Keep your voice down.
The protagonist dancer has been abandoned in some ruins. She suspects it's because of health conditions with her legs. It's been affected her ability to dance, but then she finds herself abandoned puppetry, yada yada yada. Illness of the mechanical breakdown, and she's just a dancing puppet.
I thought it would be hard to follow, but in the end, it was actually very clear.
Even though her face was expressionless and she didn't speak the whole time, I felt like I could really understand how the protagonist was feeling.
It's like I said, these are the best type of productions for new actors to make a presence. Because it really doesn't matter as much. Because the acting comes more from the skill of how your body expressions and how all your movements and make yourself flow. And less about vocal performances and flubbing lines. There's a lot less to handle. Some mechanical puppets believe in a myth. At the end of the world, there's a god of puppets who can turn puppets into human beings, and so the protagonist and her companion begin their quest. But the myth is a lie, spread by someone with nothing but contempt for puppet kind. At the end of their journey, they are kidnapped, dismantled, melted down, and abused. The protagonist helped her companions escape, but in the process became trapped under the rubble in a crumbling building. She closes her eyes and enters into a deep sleep.
Director Mariu really is a master of his craft. And so is the actress in the lead role.
I have a friend who saw the show on the opening day. They thought the critics overstated how good it was, but I gotta say, the protagonist is incredible.
Act 2 closes to thunderous applause from the crowd.
I can't believe it's only been a few days since the last show. Lynette's improved so much. Just wow! I'm speechless. Words simply cannot do justice to the sheer excellence we witnessed from Lynette on stage today.
Your penchant for the hyperbolic strikes again, Almery. Clearly you weren't at a loss for words when you were writing your article. I saw you hand it to the journalist. Trying to get your critique into the papers the moment the show is over, are you?
Well, you know how it is. The early critics get all the readers. Wouldn't you agree, Mariu?
He can tell, can he?
What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? The first half was a huge success. Even I could tell the acting was top tier.
My apologies, Mr. Maloney. Please excuse me for a second. I need to have a little talk with my actors.
Oh, very well. Hey, while you're at it, this might be a good time to talk future collaborations with Lynette.
I should have gotten a screen cap, actually, of that play. I don't know if I would have used it, but it would have been nice to have.
Are you guys sure this is gonna work? What if Director Mariu pushes back? We're already halfway there. We can't back out now. All we need to do is stick to the plan.
What is this plan that you're so intent on hiding from me,
Director Mariu, I thought you were talking to Maloney and the critics.
Korantan and Armory have both finished their articles. I went to greet them as a mere formality, but you seem to have availed yourselves of my absence during the first half to defy me.
What have you done?
Was that really Lynette playing the lead role?
Well done, director. You saw through it.
Ta-da!
Here's Lynette's voice behind him. beside her is the protagonist.
Director Mariu? I was the one playing the lead role just now.
I switched costumes and masks with Jillian so that I could be the protagonist's companion and stay out of the limelight.
Lynette, why on earth would you do this?
You know my acting is amateur. The only reason I'm being seen as a pro, let alone a pioneer, is because you have critics supporting the show.
But right now there's a whole audience out there, and you have no hope of paying them all off.
If they'd seen me in the leading role during the first half, they wouldn't be expecting anything more. But what happens now that they've seen Jillian in the role? If you force me to play the lead in the second half, they'll be wondering, why is the actress suddenly giving such an underwhelming performance right at the climax of the whole story?
The director is not all cracked up, or is the director... Is it because she's not good enough actress to play the role? Were the critics wrong?
These are just some of the questions that will be on everyone's minds during the second half. And those questions will follow them out the doors of the theater after the show ends.
Think the critics will have any credibility then?
There's only one way for you to save your reputation. And that's to keep Jillian as the lead all the way to the end.
Absolutely not. I'd sooner announce that we're having technical difficulties and need to stop the show.
That is an option. They didn't rule that out.
If I keep Jillian as the lead for the second half, what do you think will happen in the curtain call when she takes her mask off? Everyone will see that we've changed actors. What will your fans think? They're only here because of you, and what about all the critics who support you? If we get on the wrong side of them, it'll be the death of the whole show.
A possibility, but not a guarantee.
It'd be tickets to refund, fines to pay for breach of contract. The whole troupe's hard work would go down the drain. Don't you see how much this would cost us?
Those are all really valid concerns.
You can't just take a job on a whim, then abandon your responsibility the moment you don't feel like doing it anymore. You're playing games with other people's hopes and dreams.
Director Mariu, please. You're not being fair to Lynette.
Actually, Jillian, he's half right. I did kind of take this on a whim. But my responsibility here is making sure you get back the role that belongs to you.
And I guess part of that responsibility lies with me, considering I badgered you into accepting the job.
Finally decided to show up, eh?
Sorry I'm a little late to the show. Work's been keeping me pretty busy lately.
This is 2 days later, which means this would have been after the events of the investigation would have concluded. When we got ourselves involved, it ended in basically a day. So we're now basically a day past that.
Lenny? What do you want? Do you think you can snap your fingers and make all my problems magically disappear?
I don't know. Maybe?
That might be a little tricky. But instead, I could make something else magically appear.
What's this?
A draft complaint letter, my contract, your legal fees, reimbursement for the tickets, and an advance on the penalty fee for breach of contract. Mr. Mariu, I'm stepping down from the leading role, regardless of whether you choose to cancel the rest of today's show.
If you do suffer unforeseen financial losses from this, you're free to seek damages as per the contract. And if you want to file a lawsuit, there's a draft here that you can use if you need it.
What? I can't believe this. You're literally handing me a lawsuit against you with a straight face.
Yeah, it's just quite a convincing argument. Here, it's already filled out. I filed the lawsuit against me for you already. If I'm wrong, just go through with it.
Of course. All this more, it's a pittance to you, isn't it? Must be nice to have the luxury of prior success and fame. Look at us. We're huge stars. One minute we want to go on stage. The next we feel like backing out of the contract. But that's okay. We're famous. We can afford it. You have no respect for other people's work. You're treating other people's hopes and dreams like a big joke. You don't give a hoot how much this show means to other people. You don't even care that the whole production might have to shut down because of you.
That's not true. I do care. And I'm under no illusion as to how much this show means to you.
Quite quite a bit, in all honesty. I'm very invested at this point.
Brilliant deduction there. Of course at this point. Deduction there. Of course it means a lot to me. This is my show. That's the only reason I asked you to be in it in the first place.
Really? Then why do your eyes tell a different story? The way you look at me, it's full of contempt.
Ah, that was the... So you were the one that were giving it the look of contempt.
Almost as if I've destroyed your work of art.
So it was Mario. He's the one who's looking at Lynette with contempt.
What? I would never think that.
A couple days ago, I asked some associates to do some digging for me. I was interested to know who else you invited to play the lead apart from Lynette. Surprise, surprise. Turns out that all the other famous actresses you asked either had prior commitments or weren't a good fit for the role. They all turned you down.
And I would have turned you down too, if not for an unlikely set of coincidences.
You didn't send those invitations because you were looking for a better actress than Jillian, but because your investor wanted a big name in your show, right?
Director Mariu.
It's clear as day that Jillian is an outstanding actress, but fame was the key factor, and that was the one thing she didn't have.
To get Maloney on your side, you chose to make Jillian the understudy, and then look for an opportunity for her to take the lead.
But then Lynette actually accepted your invitation, and her acting debut was sure to attract attention.
I bet you were torn at first, weren't you? Do you stick to the tried and tested formula? Choose Lynette, use her celebrity to get the critics on your side so that you and your investors can line your pockets?
Or do you choose Jillian, so that you and your longtime collaborator can stage the show of your dreams, the original, unedited version of The Lost Puppet?
Whether you did it because of your pressure from investors or because you were lured by money, I would assume pressure from investors. Ultimately, you betrayed yourself by choosing Lynette.
I didn't. I didn't betray myself.
You mentioned prior success and fame earlier, but you're a well-known director yourself, with countless works to your name. Wouldn't that make you successful too?
True.
Or maybe, deep down, none of your current achievements really count as success to you.
It all depends on how you measure it.
Right now, you have an opportunity to send Jillian onto that stage and perform the second half as you always imagined it, faithful to your original script. Your work would be displayed for all of Fontaine to see in its true, perfect form.
Did you say perfect?
When you keep pursuing a kind of success that even you don't value, at the cost of everything of your own artistic integrity.
Or will you act now before Maloney and the critics can protest and make your dream come true on the stage? And Jillian's dream. In fact, the dreams of the whole troupe.
The whole troupe?
Director Mariu? Actually, most of the money Lenny brought came from us. We all chipped in.
We've worked with you for many years now. Your troupe has been here for you all the way from the empty theaters where we first performed to the Opera House today. We watched as you slowly started down a path you used to despise. The path of powerful connections, drinks receptions, backdoor deals with critics, and collaborations based on fame instead of talent.
But this is just a temporary measure. I did it for the good of the troupe. And besides, this is how the whole industry works. Everyone else is doing it.
Let's all jump off a bridge together.
Yes, we know. Back when you started, you had to bite the bullet and do these things to keep the troupe afloat. But then what happened? You began to embrace these methods more and more, becoming so reliant on them that every show you put out is overhyped by the media, and every script you write is edited to suit some celebrity's needs.
Oh, you mean this has been going on for a while?
Surely you must have noticed what's happening. While we've been performing at bigger and bigger theaters with each show, the applause is getting quieter and quieter each night. And the criticism from people who've seen the show is growing. Maloney's friends are sycophants. They don't care if the audience is disappointed because the show doesn't live up to their glowing reviews. They praise the things they like and skirt around the things they don't.
Look, I know everyone's using the same promotional tactics, but does that really make it okay?
No, not really.
Well, it's just a stopgap solution. As soon as I've made enough Mora, I'll stop. Things will be different next time. I promise.
Next time, huh? Yeah. Next time, you won't use your connections. Next time, you won't pay off the critics. Next time, you'll let Julian play the lead.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. If you make some money once, you'll want to do it again, then again. Slowly but surely, you turn your back on your dreams.
I won't turn my back on my dreams any longer, Director Mariyu.
Yeah, you
Never
tell him.
again.
Me neither.
Persuasion, today's the day. Oh, fuck. We're putting this up to a roll? Oh, that's a lot of pluses. Lynette support, Lenny support, Jillian support, Jockey support, Cyril support. 6, 11, 19, 20 fucking 4. I don't think I can fail this. 7. That's a big number.
I had dreams too.
Once.
Once.
Act 3, amidst the rubble. An unknown period of time elapsed before a group of mechanical puppets finally cleared the rubble, freed the protagonist, and reactivated her. They told her, "You have been buried for thousands of years. The mechanical puppets now rule the world." It turned out the puppets who had started the uprising were none other than the protagonist's companions, whom she had rescued all those years ago. The protagonist was now revered as a hero to all of puppet kind. The mechanical puppets asked the protagonist what she wishes for, but she only wishes for one more thing.
Huh. The plot here seems a little different from what the reviews said.
The protagonist wanted to return to the stage, so the puppets replaced all her parts with the latest ones available, built her a grand opera house, and summoned a huge audience.
And in the end, she forgot herself amidst the applause and cheers of her fellow puppets.
Hey, no spoilers! Huh? Wait, hang on, that's not even what's happening. The set has changed back to the one from the first act.
Oh, Archons. Please let this work out.
No need to be so
I wonder if
nervous,
Nouvelette's in the
Director
audience.
Mariyu. We only told you Lynette would be quitting the show to get you to make a decision. We wanted you to believe that this show would have to end after today, no matter what you decided. But in truth, I believe that if we choose our words carefully, there's no reason we can't get Maloney to come around and keep the show going.
You should definitely keep in touch.
You really thought this plan through. But I'm not upset about what you've done. What's worrying me now isn't how Maloney will react or whether the show will get cancelled. It's the audience. I've always thought the original script is better, but will it move them like I've always hoped? When Jillian does her curtain call, will they applaud her? What if people only came to see the show for Lynette? And because of the reviews?
People can be disappointed and enjoy it nonetheless.
It feels like I've been hiding inside my safe little castle for too long. And now I'm scared to go outside the walls and hear what people really think.
Some of my favorite things are watching the little guy succeed. Let's do this for Jillian.
We're right here with you. We'll watch it to the end.
Why am I more invested in this storyline than I was in the whole fucking drug smuggling investigation? Act 4. Amidst the ruins. Original script. The protagonist rejects the other puppets' offer for new parts on the grand stage built in her honor. Her only wish is to see her companions again, but she is told that they gave their lives for the revolution. Their bodies lie buried in the ruins where they first met. The protagonist returns to the ruins alone, where her journey first began. She performs one last dance before the graves of her companions. Her circuitry burns out. Her parts become loose and fall from her body. but she keeps dancing until her body completely shuts down. It's taken thousands of years, but at last, she has finally found a reason for dancing.
Wow. Okay, this ending is much better.
I love how they brought back the set from Act 1 and gave it a whole new meaning. What a fantastic twist.
This is a great image.
Time for the curtain call. It's the moment of truth. Will the applause continue after I take off the mask? I could always leave my mask on. No one would ever know.
Oh, Farina, you're up here too. I mean, you said you were going to see the show. Man, that stock sound effect. They're getting the most out of it. It sounds like one of those little
This
bingo
is what
ball
fame looks
rollers.
like, when it's truly deserved.
Jillian, you were amazing! Syra was tearing up when you did your final solo dance.
Well, so are you.
Really? I was so nervous. My legs felt like they turned to jelly.
What looked like an actor unsteady on her feet was in fact a poignant expression of the protagonist's frailty in her last moments.
Or whatever.
Or whatever.
Thanks for killing the mood, Lynette. Oh no, I can't take any more of that.
Hey, Mario! What the heck was that? Why wasn't Lynette playing the lead?
Our articles are already going to press. You better have a good explanation for this.
Don't put your articles to press before something happens. That's what you should learn from this.
It was my...
Hey now, it was all of our...
Hold on. The decision was mine, and mine alone.
Wow.
They had nothing to do with it. If you have any concerns, gentlemen, then please direct them to me.
He's gonna be the big man at the end.
Marry you? So it was you? Well then, I trust you'll have no objection to me pulling the plug on this production.
Those fears are coming true. Time for Act 5.
Director Mariu, Mr. Maloney, what on earth is going on? Why was Lynette not in the lead role? It took a lot of convincing from me for her to accept the role, and I had to turn down some big work opportunities to come and watch her performance today. You have some explaining to do.
I don't know where you're going with this, but make it good.
Lenny, it was all his idea. Marry you. Explain yourself.
Wait, Blinny, as a matter of fact, this was a piece of performance art. In this play, the masks and costumes serve to obscure the differences between characters, and by extension, the
Just
difference
like I
between
kept saying
human
throughout
and
the whole
machine.
thing. The whole point of masks and cloaks and these kind of performance arts is so that who the actor is doesn't matter. It's all about the performance.
We took that idea to the next level with an
God, we
actor
got the
swap,
fucking double thumbs up
blurring
again.
the lines between one performer and the next.
I'm
So it's in
gonna
service
associate
of the
that pose
ambitious
with Lynette
artistic
from now
goals
on.
of the production.
What?
It's similar to deceiving the audience in a magic show. We employed this technique as a means of breaking the fourth wall. It allows the audience to more intuitively understand the cognitive dissonance felt by the protagonist as a machine trying to reconcile the notion of her humanity. The audience's experience mirrors the protagonist's own confusion and becomes part of the artistic performance itself.
I just imagine, though, that in reality there would be at least one or two really perverted Lynette fans in the audience that would have been able to tell her figure, even despite all the cloaks, that she wasn't in the lead role. That's my only criticism, because I think it'd be funny
Hold
that
up.
people like that exist.
What is this nonsense?
Coming from a man named Maloney.
Oh, I see. Well, bravo, Director Mariu. You even had me fooled.
That's probably more because you just don't really understand avant-garde art very well, Lenny.
Neither do you, Lynette.
Maybe so, maybe so. Well, perhaps it went over my head, but I'm sure our experts here saw the whole thing coming a mile away.
Ooh. The critics are finally revealed that they are kind of shit.
You must have worked it out by the end of the first half, surely. Mr. Amory, I just heard that you managed to write your review after just the first 2 acts.
I'm sure that will help director marry you by setting the future audiences up for a surprise at the twist at the end.
Yes, you're right. Director Mariyu and I are old friends. You should have said something. Then I could have played along even better.
Yes, well, to deceive the audience, you must first deceive your closest companions. I have to give credit to Lynette and her experience in performing magic. That's what inspired me to take my art to the next level.
Hmm? You mean your show was partly inspired by Lynette's background in magic? Well, in that case, I'll have to plug it to everyone I know.
Unfortunately, I think Mr. Maloney is going to cancel the show.
Cancel the show? Mr. Maloney, is this true?
While I accept that deceiving the audience in the manner you did certainly has artistic merit, this is not a magic show, and we don't want our audience demanding their money back.
A very valid criticism.
Very valid
and one
indeed.
that I humbly accept. If that happens, we're prepared to reimburse and apologize to any audience members who weren't satisfied with the experience.
But based on their reaction today, I don't think that's what most people want to see. It was an excellent piece of theater, and not a celebrity cameos.
Plus, it looks like Jillian is better than me at delivering the excellence people want to see. I'm sure audiences will be very happy with the show if she's allowed to stay in the leading role.
Some reviews have said that Lynette gave a performance of the year. Wouldn't you say Jillian's was the performance of a lifetime?
Maloney, I believe there should still be time to tweak my article. From the look on Lynette's face, I think she's being sincere.
Oh, one other thing. We managed to get a meeting with Lady Farina earlier. All thanks to the Traveler's reputation, of course. Anyway, she agreed to write a review focusing on Jillian's performance and the quality of the show as a whole. She promised to give her honest opinion. And I'm sure today's audience will be discussing her performance too. There's sure to be a variety of opinions.
What of you, Mr. Corton? What would you rate this show?
Oh, I mean, art at its finest, clearly. But I'll have to give it some thought before I decide exactly what to write.
Oh, of course. Always good to put some thought
Kind of
into
feel
these
like
things.
it's annoying that the music
Especially
kicked out
now,
at this point.
with a growing range of voices out there. I imagine competition for readers becomes more fierce when everyone's discussing the topic.
Corentin, Amory, let's go.
Sourface Baloney leaves with the critics in tow. You and Linny excuse yourselves and leave. Well, that's showbiz, everyone.
Do you think this move needs jazzing up a little? Not jazzing up, per se. I was thinking more like break it down, you know?
Gina!
Gina? You snuck in? When? I thought I told you no visiting me at work.
I'm sorry, Jillian, but I had to come.
Yeah. You were the source of all of this. Look at that ping! What's going on? Watch, my button inputs aren't even working.
Thank you both so much. Without the two of you, who knows how much further down that cynical path I would have gone.
Man, we're at the 5-hour mark already.
I always told myself that once I'd made enough Mora, I'd get back to doing what I loved. But somewhere along the way, I started to lose sight of what that was. Just like those critics with their dishonest reviews, I became all about the trappings of success, at the expense of the art itself.
At least you came to your senses in time. And you got an amazing group of talented people behind you.
You're right. Yes. I'm a very lucky man. Anyway, enough about my problems. What are we going to do about the threat letter that Lynette received? I've been looking into it a lot over the past couple of days, but it doesn't seem like it was one of our competitors after all.
Ah, yes, about that.
Lynette, do you have a moment?
Wait, you're Jillian's sister, right?
I'm sorry. Gina insisted on coming to see Lynette. I couldn't stop her.
Lynette, I'm sorry!
Lynette just shot me a glance. I think she's unsure which mode to use for this situation. Wait and see how things play out. What are you talking about? Never heard of it. I need a 6. Lynette's cooperation plus 5. Oh yeah, that's impossible to fail.
Yeah, me neither.
Wait, but...
Oh, do you mean when we ran into you at the Fleuve Sandra? And you said some mean things to me? As I recall, you were only trying to look out for your sister. It was just a few words spoken in anger. Don't worry. Whatever it was you said, I've already forgotten.
Oh. I see.
He knows, because he saw the letter. So he's figured it out.
Well, it sounds like Gina knows what she did was wrong. Owning up to your mistakes and committing to do better in the future is what counts.
I understand that feeling of wanting
This
to
was a
stand
great
up for
cast
your
of
family when
characters.
they're being mistreated. Really, I do.
I honestly think this was the better story.
But next time, maybe consider a different tactic? Something you can pull off more effectively, and without arousing suspicion.
Alright, that's enough. Stop giving her ideas.
Got it. Thank you, Lynette.
Why do I feel like I'm missing something here?
Hey, here you are. I was wondering where you'd all run off to.
Great! Everyone's in one place. That makes this so much easier.
Group photo time!
What do you think? It's group photo time!
Yeah!
We have to commemorate the debut of the Lost Puppet Director's Edition. Okay, everyone.
I knew
we
I
all have
always
pretty
liked you,
awkward
kid.
Smiles on our faces in the photo from Hotel de Boer. So this time, no forced smiles allowed.
Oh, am I really not allowed to force a smile?
Is smiling tough for you?
I'll try, I suppose. I think I can manage.
Lynette, Traveler, come on. You two should be right in the middle.
3, 2, 1, smile!
We had very little involvement with this. I don't know why we're in the group photo. A roaring success. My line of sight was a little bit off. It's fine as long as your smile is genuine. Alright. Alright, we've hit basically the 5-hour mark. Although, if you're watching this on YouTube, I've already separated this to a separate video. Ah, it's all Noel. That's all, folks. Alright. So the ending point is from here.
Thank you both so much. I always told myself, just like those critics with their dishonest reviews, I became... You're right. Yes, I'm a very lucky man. Anyway, enough about my problems. What are we going to do about the threat letter that Lynette received? I've been looking into it a lot over the past couple of days, but it doesn't seem like it was one of our competitors after all.
He genuinely thought it was one of the competitors before this, huh?
Ah, yes, about that.
Lynette, do you have a moment?
I didn't think that this would be the branching point.
Wait, you're Jillian's sister, right?
I'm sorry. Gina insisted on coming to see Lynette. I couldn't stop her.
Lynette, I'm sorry!
Just shot me a glance, unsure which mode to use. Wait and see how things play out.
That letter? I was the one who wrote it.
What?
Gina? So it was you?
Director, it's time for... Oh, okay. Weird energy here.
Yeah.
I think we came at a bad time.
We came at a bad time.
Lynette, Gina must have been worried sick about me. I'm sure even she wouldn't do something so stupid if she was in her right mind. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll make it up to you somehow.
Jillian, no! This is completely my fault, and I'm the one who should have to bear the consequences. I got the wrong end of the stick and completely misjudged Lynette.
Shall we hear what Lynette has to say?
Well, since I haven't actually suffered any losses, seeking redress could be difficult. Maybe we could just let this one slide?
Really? Are you sure?
After all, Gina wouldn't be the first person to ever misjudge me, right?
True.
In any case, I think we can all agree it was a misunderstanding and nothing more. No need to overcomplicate things.
But still, I was wrong to write that letter. I should own up to my actions, make it up to you in some way.
Kids this age are pretty stubborn.
If that's what you really want, then how about helping out backstage?
Huh? Backstage?
The crew could always use an extra hand. Plus, it'll give your older sister a chance to keep an eye on you and stop you getting into any more trouble.
Thank you, Lynette. Really, thank you so much.
The whirlwind events is finally resolved. A few days later, you once went show up at... You're finally awake.
Is it?
You got caught trying to cross the border.
I'm so much more at home here in the audience. I get to sit on a comfy seat, and I don't have to activate my energy-consuming modes all the time.
Sounds like Gina got more than she bargained for out of the backstage job. You gave your supporting role to her in the play, too.
Mary, you said she's a very promising young actress, and she has natural chemistry with her older sister. In their capable hands, the show doesn't need me to attract an audience anymore. Phew.
Freedom at last.
Freedom at last.
You don't feel even a little bit disappointed?
Fame
was just around the corner.
More trouble than it's worth. I'd rather leave that side of things to my brother and the others. I'm happiest when I get to sit in a quiet place, watch them do their thing, and cheer them on.
Like you're doing now.
Yep, exactly like I'm doing now.
Seat in the audience. Break. Where there is someone performing on stage, there will be others clapping in the audience. Alrighty, we've gotten almost all the endings. Only one remains. Excuse me, game? Stop lagging for a minute, please. Stop lagging for a minute, please. I'm gonna have to edit so much of this out. Alright. Back to decision. One last route. Hopefully it's not 2 hours. And I bet it's just the option where I say, how about you do neither? And then we're gonna go home and just drink tea the whole day like Lynette initially planned. That's what I think is gonna happen. I think. I could be wrong. That being said, most of my thinkings that have happened in this stream have been right. So I might be right again. I'm a very bright individual. I use Minoggin and Minoodle. I'm in the bushes. Alright.
Huh.
The
I didn't
phaetometer.
like that.
Alright.
Clearly, there's some design flaws to iron out. Let's see.
Skip. I think you should help Bonnie. I think this just takes us to the other route, so how about you do neither?
Huh?
If it was that urgent, someone would have come looking by now. That applies to both your troop and Bonnie's owner.
What you're saying is, since nobody's come looking, I can just keep hanging out with Bonnie for a bit longer? Is that really okay?
Meow. Well, Bonnie sure seems to like the idea. We got a roughly 50% chance here. Oof.
Maybe not. As much as I don't want to, I really should be. Besides, if someone does come looking for me or Bonnie and finds me just chilling out with a cat, well, I feel like I'd have a lot of explaining to do.
Man, I'm not going to look for all the dialogue options for every time that we could have failed one of these. I think you should head back to drinks. Let's try one more time.
Then let's...
Now it's only a 5. Alright. 75% chance. 18. Where was that last time?
So, we're looking for Bonnie's owner?
Oh, wait, it goes back.
There's 20 cards in total.
Alright. Let's try this again. Fucked it up. We're on detectives. Abandoned, please.
Huh. I didn't like that.
Alright. Doing neither. If it was urgent, someone would come looking.
What you're saying is, since nobody's... Is that really okay?
Alright, 10. That's an 11.
You make a good point.
You can just stick around here for a while. If anyone does come looking for you, they'll find you.
Okay, well... Assuming Bonnie hasn't strayed too far from where she went missing, there's a chance we might bump into her owner in either the Steambird offices or the restaurant. So, stick around here in standby mode? Yeah, that suits me.
If we're going on standby mode, should we find some cat food?
Oh, good idea. Bonnie's definitely hungry.
Let's get some snacks for us, too.
May as well. We could be here a while.
Since we got cat food and snacks, let's find a place to chill.
When I was trying to find somewhere I could space out earlier, collect my
thoughts.
I figured the cafe might be a good shot. Alright then. Plan of action, spend the whole day spacing out. In standby mode.
Doing nothing is the happiest thing. And just with that, we're going to continue to do nothing, and we're going to end the stream. Thank you for everybody who stopped by for our Cat Day stream, where we just did all the cat-related missions for 5 hours. This is going to get probably chopped up into a 2-hour and 3-hour stream, respectively, for YouTube. I'm going to have to edit out quite a bit. If you want to stay up to date on when I'm going to be going live, best way to do that would be to follow us on Discord. And you can always watch the VODs when I edit them down for YouTube.
Leave it to me. All of it. Whatever it is.
Thank you, Noelle. We'll see you all in the next stream, where we will probably be playing some more Genshin, but we'll be doing the world quest that I skipped from the 4.5 update. Up until then, see you next time. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.